Yo. Jesse Williams, my motherfucking man. What's happening, bro?
Not much.
I'm excited for you to be here. We've basically just done a little mini podcast before we even started this bitch. So I already know it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, hopefully. I got a lot of pressure on me now. I'm building it up myself.
Pressure makes diamonds, bro. I feel like you've been in high pressure situations in this podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So, bit of background on you. Obviously, people have listened to the intro, so they know. But you're a former NFL player, cancer survivor, all-around bad motherfucker. And I feel lucky to get to sit here and listen to some of your stories and learn from you, dude.
Well, hopefully, I can drop some bombs. That's a good intro. I should use that one.
Yeah.
Overall bad motherfucker. That's a good one.
Just take it.
That's changed my bio on Instagram.
That's it. So you are a Brisbane local. So you're born and raised here.
Yep.
And how many people in Australia have got a Superbowl ring?
None. Just me.
So you're the only dude in Australia with a Superbowl ring.
I'm actually the only person ever to go back-to-back national championships into a Super Bowl. Should have been 2 Super Bowls and we lost to Patriots.
Patriots. What the fuck were they thinking?
Yeah, it's football.
Dude,
that's why I'm not a coach.
Yeah, I was going to say that play, man, like you don't give the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Like that's got to be one of the most famous endings to a Super Bowl ever. Yeah. Like,
it'll definitely be on an E60 in 10 years, you'll see it, yeah.
For sure. What was the thinking, or not the thinking, but like what was the reaction of the team and like Marshawn and everything up? Because the thing is, like, hindsight's 2020, right? Yeah. But it's like, dude, Marshawn had a fucking game going that night.
Well, honestly, to stick up for Pete, it's a pretty routine play to run an inside sort of play like that on a pass to burn time. Like, I try and tell people all the time, it's like, oh, why did he pass? And I'm like, you try and give Tom Brady 30 seconds in the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl to win.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, Tom Brady, the second Jesus will come and he will score. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, if you're about writing a script, like, he'll rewrite it. You know what I mean? But as in for the mood afterwards, yeah, it wasn't good. The shape of that locker room after was not good. I think every piece of fragile glass that was in there was shattered.
Yeah, I bet, dude.
Phones, everything.
How many snaps did you play in the Super Bowls?
I didn't get to play at all. I was hurt at the time.
Oh, no shit. Fuck. So you were just devastated just watching from the sidelines.
Man, it was terrible. After playing so much in college and getting hurt, it was a big, I guess, sort of, a turn in my career and in regards to my own sort of mental and staying focused, I guess, because it is tough. It is tough, yeah. Yeah,
for sure, dude. So, well, I guess, like, I'd be cool. I don't normally just, like, try and go back to the start and, like, start from the start, but I think you got such a fucking crazy story.
I don't know much about my birth, but I can reenact a little
bit. Yeah. But, so you were born here. So you're from an Aboriginal family?
Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander family.
Yep.
Most of my family.
So where were they from? Like
Thursday Island.
Yeah. Okay.
In the Torres Strait, and on my mum's side, a little bit back to Northern Territory stuff as well on the Aboriginal side.
Yeah.
But I was pretty much raised Torres Strait Islander my whole life. Most of my family is down from, I guess, the Torres Strait and in Cairns, Townsville, and a lot in Brisbane.
I'm from Cairns.
Yeah. We talked about last time. Yeah. So I got a lot of family that's still up there.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, that migration down, a lot of people get stuck in Cairns.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, all my family now, like my grandparents and at the time my great grandfather and stuff, he was down from Thursday Island. He was in Brisbane. All my aunties, all that side of my family was all there. So that's how I was pretty much raised.
Yeah. And then so you went to school and everything down here. Were you one of those guys that just got like super crazy sport focused from like day one because of like your physical attributes? Like, were you a big motherfucker as a kid too?
I was big. I wasn't really, like, it was sport the whole time. It was basketball. My whole family plays basketball. My mum and dad were both high level basketball players. But it wasn't, my mum was also a school teacher and worked at the university at the time. So education, it didn't trump, but it was at the level of what sport was as well.
Yeah.
And it was, the grades and stuff always had to be there and stuff. And I think in hindsight, it played a huge role in affecting me being able to do what I did in college and stuff in the US.
Yeah.
But I didn't really, I pushed sport pretty hard. I didn't play a lot when I was super young, like most kids. But when I was 9, I started playing club basketball, and it sort of picked up from there, and so did everything there. And I went to nationals and under 16s for basketball, did Med East, did everything for basketball.
So how tall were you when you were under 16? Because you're 6'4" or 6'3"?
Yeah, I'm just over 6'4" now. I don't know. I was pretty big. Yeah. There was a few kids who were like real tall and lanky, but I was probably one of the most like. So I looked like a grown man when I was like 12. So, yeah. But like baby face grown man sort of deal. And then it was just sort of progressed from basketball into everything else. But like most kids in high school, I was just I threw shot put. Actually, I ran like on the 100-meter sprint like when I was in primary school. Like I did everything. Which I guess it helped me get ready for being and choosing one sport.
Were you one of those kids that could have? I'm a shit. Like fuck, man. If you make it in the NFL, like you pretty much could make it in any sport that fits your size, really. But like, were you one of those kids that had people just chasing you to do like all those different kind of sports?
Yeah, I mean, I went to Cav Road in Brisbane, which is a rugby league heavy school, and I didn't play on the rugby league team. I was in the program, but I was bigger than all the kids, and like
I bet.
The Broncos would see me, whatever. All I wanted to do was play basketball and just go to school. Like, I didn't want to play rugby. Honestly, my mum wouldn't let me play rugby. I wanted to play a few times. My mum wouldn't let me.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess not. My mum was worried about me. My dad was worried about me hurting other people. Kids, yeah. And I was like, I would have been around 300 pounds, so like 130 something, like grade 11, grade 12. So I was a pretty big dude. Like bigger than most of the NRL. The Broncos saw me, Titans, everyone would see me like when I was just like, rolling around to class, like doing what I do. And then in basketball, who's that kid? But then in basketball, I think once every other kid started getting way taller than me, I was like, oh man, I got to start lifting weights and start doing something else. But on my 16th birthday, when I was in between the transition to basketball and football, I asked my parents for a gym membership, and then from there, just sort of trained every day.
Did you put on size like easy?
No, not really. Honestly, it was tough. Like I did the usual transition, like started and was not strong. Like I'm a very athletic person, like balance, I can run and all that sort of stuff like that. But like as soon as I started lifting, I was like, I'm like spastic with it. I'm like, what's going on here, So it took a lot, and it was just me. It was like not really anyone else I had to train with, It was just like, and this is before social media. Like I wasn't following no influencers to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. I was reading like bodybuilding magazines, and then. Did
you have the Arnold encyclopedia back then?
No. I had a lot of magazines. I was all Ronnie Coleman, man. I was seeing these dudes, and I was like, I definitely need to take whatever that powder is right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're not taking powder, son.
I'm tricked. But then when this is when dial-up internet was around, and I was on the internet. All I used to do was look up all the testing results of the combine or strength conditioning tests from each school, and I would just work to try and beat those.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, everywhere I would go, I was just like, oh, this dude got drafted. Like he's exactly my size, but he only benched that, he only squatted that, he only ran that. Yeah. You know what I mean? The whole time I was just like, because the US is very measurable base, right? So it's just like they have to have something to grab onto that this is going to set you apart.
And so was that thinking? Like you always wanted to go to the NFL, or was it just you were just looking for like shit to measure yourself against?
Honestly, when I was in Australia, it was like I said, I lived such a normal life that people don't understand that it was such a realistic path. If I didn't know what the hell I was going to do, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to be a chef, I wanted to be this, I wanted to, then I was like, oh, I'm just going to start building stuff. You know what I mean? Like, when everyone's like grade 11 and 12, everyone's like, oh man. Especially your rugby league school, everyone's like, oh, what tertiary studies are we going to do? No one's thinking about going to college. No one's thinking about going to university. I then think from there, sort of transitioning and playing more high-level football and getting much more attention from the US when they would come over looking for punters or running camps.
Yeah.
I sort of sat down. I was probably 16, 15, 16. I sort of spoke to my dad and my whole family. It was just like, yeah, I guess we'll give it a go. We'll try. Everyone's saying we can do this, and everyone's super interested. So
so you were playing like club.
I was playing like high level basketball. I was throwing shot put. I was playing Gridiron. The kids and the seniors team.
Yeah.
So I was playing 2 games in a day. Then I played for Queensland, Australia. I played for the world team, represented Australia.
In Gridiron. Really? So
Yeah.
I didn't, so that's like, so my cousin actually, he plays up in Brisbane. He plays, I think he's like a tight end or something. Or no, cornerback, I think he plays. And
It's pretty different, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, well, you know, like sometimes they play like both sides. Like,
Yeah, both
because
ways,
there's
yeah.
not that many, yeah.
But 6 dudes on the team.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But, I was there.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the first time I'd seen anyone in Australia, like I'd seen any like gridiron stuff played in Australia. So there is like a proper scene here.
Yeah, Gridiron Queensland and Gridiron Australia, so the sanctioning bodies. Honestly, I know there's a few teams. There's one on the Gold Coast. Stingray's pretty good.
That's the dude that they played in the final. They played the
Stingray. Yeah, they're usually pretty good.
Won, yeah.
So they're one of the teams on the Gold Coast. So they get a lot of cashment of like kids on the coast.
Yeah, okay.
I think there's maybe 6 to 8 in Brisbane. I'm not sure 100% where they are now. I don't have a lot of affiliation with them, but it was growing a little bit. It's stagnant a little bit with a lot of guys going over. So like punters, it's heavy. I know a guy named Nathan Chapman. He runs a big program sending kids over, which is awesome. But
because the punters is essentially what Australia is known for. Like if you're in the NFL, then it's like you've essentially been.
Man, honestly, if I could go back in time, I would 110% be a punter.
Fuck yeah,
I'm
bro.
like, I just used to remember when I'd be at Alabama, like practicing in the camp, and it's like 120 degrees, and you know, I'm sweating, and I feel like I'm wearing sponges as shoes, and I look over and I just like the punter's like asleep on the football bag over there, and I'm like, man, I hate this guy.
This guy, yeah. But
I'm like, if I have a cat's edge on the field, though, I'm like, I'm about to crush this dude.
Yeah. But if he can win the game for you.
Yeah, I'm saying, I've been on the wrong side of that of a few kickers losing some games for us, so it's high pressure, and their health is at risk drastically. But I think Gridiron Australia will never really get a lot better because it's the people that run it.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of kids that are pushing it, you know, like even when I was playing, like we would have like 10 kids out there, you know, and like we'd have like 11 people watching the game and maybe 8 would be some of the family. And people would drive by and just like, we'd get more people drive by and stop, like more like, whoa, what's going on out here? You know what I mean? Like, are you guys allowed to be out in the park? But it'll take time. There's a few more guys over there in the US now, and there's a few more imports and like random leagues probably up in Europe and stuff like now they're coming back, and a few coming over here. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't have a huge effective sort of position in helping and growing it or anything like that.
Is that something that you'd like want to do, or it's
honestly I did, but the people that run it here, they butt heads with people that think like I think I would think. Is the simplest way to put it. I don't agree with a lot of stuff they do. I think a lot of people here, they do it for the wrong reasons. It has nothing to do with football. It has everything to do with people and the perception of them being a part of it.
And powerful.
Like I would go to the games and I watch it and I would see some of the kids, and I worked with some of the kids. I didn't work with a large chunk of them, like training wise. And I would see a lot of them like, yo, this kid is dressed out here like a damn East Bay catalog. Like he's like, they got the cleats, he got the arm sleeves, he's out there completely no dirt on him at all, you know what I mean? But then making no plays. Yeah. And I would go out, it's like the quietest game of football ever. Like there's no hitting, it's like so soft, and it was disappointing. So I was just like, yo, in my position or the way I played football was exactly the opposite of that. So I don't think I could have like, and I'm a pretty black and white person, you know what I mean? Like if it's not working this way, we got to do it this way, you know? So, but in saying that, when my son gets older or something like that, and if he wants to play, then I'll come down and I'll be that old dude coach, and I'll tell the kids that like, I used to do lots of things and stuff as well. But
back in my day, it's like
I used to crush skulls as well.
It's so I feel like if you like walk around with like all those rings though, and be like, make a fucking play.
Well, that's the only thing. I just go down there and coach the whole time with my Seattle jersey and helmet on, and with all the rings, just walking around pointing out people. But it's weird because that stuff has like hardly any effectiveness here. Like.
Yeah, but that's what's crazy.
It's that Australian like mentality of like, oh, you're doing really good, cool. Oh, wait, that's too good though. Like, yeah, no, pull that back a little bit. Especially like when I always doing stuff with Seattle and stuff like that. Like, I would think that most people here would adopt that and be like, yeah,
that's fucking
this guy's
amazing,
representing us. That's awesome. But it was the exact opposite, man. It was like fall on deaf ears. So when I come back, all the people that doubted me going over, they want to get pictures and stuff now, but they don't want to like, there's no continued support in any way. Like even when I was over there, it was just like, you get a handful of people like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah. But also in saying that, I wasn't the nicest player while I was here. I'm a very aggressive person generally. So if you were against me playing on the football field, of course you won't have a good perspective of the person I am. But if you knew me, then you'd be a bit different.
That's the crazy thing, and like that's it's cool for me with this podcast with you now is that I lived over there for so long, and I've watched so many games of football, and I'm like the guy that is now a full convert. Like I get it. I've watched so much football that I know what's up, and it's like I know how underappreciated you are as like an athlete and as a dude that achieved what you achieved. Like to me, it's fucking completely mind-blowing. Like it's so mind-blowing that a fucking Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander dude from fucking Australia has a Super Bowl ring, won 2 national college championships. Like that to me, because I get it, like I understand what that means, and there'll be everybody listening to this podcast that like doesn't understand how fucking gnarly it is that you did what you did. And it's like, so to me it's cool because I can like geek out because I do get it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and honestly, like I think I spend most of the time here trying to like
educate people.
Yeah, not even really educate, just like try and show them like, man, like I would go and keynote. I do a lot of speaking around. I wear Super Bowl ring, and most people I see like, oh, what's that? I'm like, what's
Super
that?
Bowl
I'm like,
ring.
Okay, like
the hardest thing in the world to get.
Well, I'm like, this is going to be hard to explain, but yeah. So like the biggest sporting stage like in the world, like even national championship for college, I'm like, there's like hundreds of millions of people watch the game. I'm like, like not only is that a huge thing, but I did it twice, and then got drafted to the NFL. That's stuff from where I came from, and low. I wouldn't say super low, but low socioeconomic status household in Brisbane, was not a huge hope of going to university here, and or not really on the radar being a young Indigenous person in Brisbane to really go out there and I guess have the dreams or the aspirations that I did.
Yeah.
My dad says it a good lot. He just, we come across people all the time that have dreams, hopes, aspirations, all that stuff like that, but it's not a lot of opportunity you get in life to see those people that have been doing it for so long and actually achieve them. And then do stuff from there as well to continue, and that's what I've been trying to do the whole time. And it falls a lot of deaf ears in Australia, low effectiveness talking, and I'm like, I'm trying to explain to people like, man, it's crazy. Like, Nick Saban, like he's very close to me, and like people are like, oh, Nick Saban. I'm like, okay, it's like cover of Forbes magazine, like best-selling books, like one of the best coaches to ever coach football, and will be until the end of time. So it's hard to like grasp the relativity for a lot of people. Like I said before the show, I was like, man, I'd post pictures, and when I was just out of high school and I was I went to University of Alabama, first spring practice is like almost 100,000 people there. I take a picture and people post and talk to me like I'm playing the NFL, like I'm getting paid. I'm like, yo,
this is a fucking college,
I'm like,
bro.
This is practice. Like these 100,000 people are watching me
practice,
trip over. These people watching me run sprints. Like they're watching me on the sideline just drinking, like chatting, like what I'm saying, like. And then you would never like get any comprehension from people here when like you go to a Broncos game and like I could yell across and like my mate on the other side would hear me if I yelled at him.
Yeah.
Over there, like I would get stopped everywhere. I would be, I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated with a group of Alabama guys. Like I've been to the White House 3 times.
No shit.
I met Obama, did everything. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to show that relativity without being a dickhead. Like I don't want to be like, well, here's this list, read this before I finish the conversation, and we'll give you 2.5 minutes, and then they will continue, I never really go into it with that, like, mentality, like I have to prove it to anyone like that. I think I've done what I've done. I use certain things to get that there, and I still, to this day, continue to do that. And that's the biggest thing with me is just like, that was awesome, all that stuff like that, but it was almost like a separate life.
Yeah.
When I come back to Australia, I'm like,
feel bizarre.
I'm like nobody. It was like, I go to the store and like, I might get stopped every now and again. Most of the time it's just like people just think I'm like a bikie and I'm going to like steal their watch or something.
Yeah.
I don't even like watches. We can get some wallets though, you know what I mean? But it's just, it's a weird situation.
Yeah, that would
without
be so
seeming
weird.
Like everywhere I go, I got to tell people all the stuff I've done. Like where would you go see Darren Lockyer and like the dude is like, they're rolling carpets out for him rolling around. And I see him at Woolies in Brisbane. And no offense to him, he's a great dude and he's achieved amazing things, but it's like very similar comparison in regards to like some of the stuff that we've done in the US.
Yeah.
But I could never explain that or have the audacity to like demand the respect.
Yeah, and like you couldn't walk up to him and like effectively your peers in terms of like elite level sporting athletes.
Man, I see him at the Broncos. He wanted to get a photo with me.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. I used to watch him when I was a young kid, and I went to the opening night for Broncos a few years ago with my dad, and he was like, "Oh, there's Lockie over there." I'm like, "Oh, that's crazy." And then him and Webke came up to my dad and asked if they wanted to get a photo with me.
That's so sick, eh?
And it's crazy. And people don't know half the stuff or half the people that hit me up to do stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
it would be so weird to like be on such like a superstar level over there, and there's just like no fucking relevance in Australia at all. Like,
honestly,
it'd be bizarre.
When I was playing, it was good because I'd come back here and I'd just drop off the radar.
It would be. I could see it being fucking amazing during like the heat of it, because then you'd be like, oh, I just get to like kind of chill.
Yeah. Well, a great example is we had the Super Bowl and then we won and we did the parade where like 1 million people came out in downtown Seattle. It was like hectic.
It was huge like, when Seattle won that Super Bowl.
Man, it was like World War Z. You know, it was people.
Yeah.
I had 2 GoPros and I was running around. I was like, this is hectic. There was people climbing trees, hanging off buildings, trying to get our attention. Like, it blew my mind that 1 million people, like the population of the city, like doubled in the day. And then the next few weeks I came back to Australia and I was like I haven't seen a single, like 3 people congratulated me on like being there. I'm like, cool, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like completely polar opposites. You know, I can still go back to Alabama now, like, and my name is carved in the stone on the Walk of Champions in front of the stadium, and it would still have relevance. I go over there and I walk into the facility, go meet everyone. Here, there's no like, and I put on so hard for where I'm from. Like I said before, man, 4170 in Brisbane. I got it tatted on my neck. Yeah. Like I know where I came from. I know the people that raised me. I know where I was coming from. But when I come back, I'm like, there's no love. Yeah. And I feel bad, not so much for me. Like, I don't really care. Like, I didn't really do it to come back and like be the man. But I feel bad for everyone else that goes out and does all the stuff that they can achieve and do it and get no love from the people that are supposed to be there for them. Yeah. At least by geography. You know what I mean? Like, we want to claim Ben Simmons, and he was here for like all of like, you know, a year in his whole life. And there's not just me, but there's other dudes in the NFL like Adam Gotsis at the Broncos and half the guys that were there before this wave of NRL players that they need those props, man. Like they struggle and they doing stuff. They need the country on them to help them get through a lot of stuff. Like, I needed it, but it wasn't there.
Well, I think that's something that like I didn't realize when I went to America how much I'd miss home and like how much I'd want support, and like there was definitely parts of me that like wanted people to be like, dude, it's fucking crazy you're over there, like, because it's like the hardest place in the world to make it. Like, to make it in America is a fucking grind, bro. Like, that is the snake pit. Like, it's so fucking competitive to make it over there. And like, I wasn't even trying to play in the NFL, but I found myself like wanting people to be like, fuck, good on you, bro, like, you're over there, you're doing it, you know, because I was like, once I got there, I was like, dude, it's so hard. There's so many people that want what I want, and are just like, they've got their family there, they know more people, they got connections, they're like, they got this support network, and then you're over there alone. So it's like, I definitely get it, and then I get how it would have even been gnarlier on your end to be like, I want some fucking love, people, like, I need this shit.
Man,
and not for ego, but just for like a full support thing of just like to keep you going.
No, I felt that as well. And I represented a huge group of people for my culture as well. And it was a very similar situation. I think that it's not really for like affirmation or confirmation of stuff I was doing. Like, I knew what I was doing. It's just that when I'm over there and like you said, man, I did it, you know, by myself for a long period of time. I went to JUCO, you know, with my family.
So you did JUCO even before you got to Alabama?
To retrace back, before I went over there.
Fuck, bro, JUCO's no joke. Bro. So JUCO, junior college.
Junior college. So Last Chance U, bro. If you watch that, you get it right away. People are like, oh man, you watch Last Chance U? I'm like, no.
I was Last Chance U.
I lived it. I only did it once. I'm not trying to redo that again.
Fuck.
So I went to...
let's explain this system of like, if you want to be an NFL player... Like, how does the whole system work before we get into the JUCO story? Because we've got to give people some context.
You got to be at least 6'5". Yeah, so there's a few ways from high school. So there's like, I think the percentage now is 0.003% of everyone that plays high school football makes it to the NFL. 232 people drafted every year. So that's pretty low odds out of a general population of 300 million people.
It's like 330 now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And when you go to LAX trying to get through the thing, you realize, I think 330 is in the building right now, and there's, man, if every movie, high school football, it's everything. So you can only imagine how many, and there's hundreds of thousands, there's probably millions of schools in the US.
Bro, and every fucking, I used to go watch Pee Wee football games and stuff with my friends' kids and stuff over there. Like every fucking kid in America plays football.
Yeah, that's the first choice.
Yeah,
no matter what state.
And then they have alternating seasons, so it's like you play football and then you play baseball, and then maybe you play basketball as well if you're one of those dudes. But it's like that is like the big three, and every fucking kid plays it, and every single parent, every single kid wants their kid to go to the NFL. Like this is like being on the if you make an NFL team in America, you are it's probably easy to be an astronaut, and that's no joke.
It's probably more the better odds to win the lotto.
Yeah, for sure.
Better odds to win the lotto. You know what I mean? In the situation that is now, man, it's wild with social media. The recruiting landscape is
global now too.
Man, they're picking up. I tell kids all the time, they're like, even in Australia, I'm like, how do I get recruited out here? I'm like, be good.
Yeah, be amazing.
Be undeniably good. If people see your highlights and they're like, wow, okay, you're a foot ahead of most other kids already. You know what I mean? So it's 2019. They're finding kids in Africa on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For real.
That's real. But so I think once you go from high school, you can either go to a prep school for another year, and if you got no grades, go there. I went to JUCO because my grades didn't qualify for Division 1 because I didn't do a language other than English in high school.
Okay. So if you're one of those special kids, you can get a scholarship straight out of high school to a Division 1 school?
Yeah. So it's then you can go straight to a 4-year school, sort of build whatever foundations there through there. But if you go to JUCO, it's a lot tougher because you go to a different school, and JUCO is like the melting pot of all the really good athletic kids, but kind of really bad kids.
Yeah, they're from fucked up backgrounds and gangsters.
Yeah, it's either gang related, education, their behavior, criminal record, all that sort of stuff like that. So
JUCO is where the kids go. They're kind of fucked up, but they got a lot of talent, and they're still promised to make the NFL.
Second chance club.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And they're there. And they know they're there to get out. So the competition is
fierce.
Sky high.
Yeah.
And I went there the same, man. Coming from Australia, eyes wide open. I'm I'm going to come over and it's going to be cool or whatever. I came over, I'm going to outwork everybody. I'm going to crush anyone's throat that gets in the way of doing that. And I'm not going to stop until either my legs are gone or they're carrying me in a box back to Australia.
And so did you go... Did you do high school in the States, or so you just went straight to JUCO?
Just finished high school, and then I worked 3 jobs: Hungry Jack's, Amart All Sports, and I did landscaping. That wasn't in the books, but don't tell anyone. And then I actually worked a little bit with my grandparents. Had a cleaning company, cleaning late at night.
Yeah, right.
So between me and my family, we put money together, and I wasn't even on scholarship, man. Who was going to give a kid from Australia? So you
just paid to go to JUCO?
Yeah, so they said
that's fucking crazy.
I played for an Australian team, and I played against New Zealand in this World Cup qualifier thing, and played really well and got MVP. And one of the coaches that came over for the camp was from this JUCO, and he was like, if you come and pay your way, we'll see how you go and all stuff like that. I'm like, it's a chance, it's an inch of opportunity. So speaking with my family, I was like, all right, I'll do this work and get some money and get ready to go over. So we went over with $275 duffel bag full of clothes and Coach Jerry Dominguez and his phone number written in my passport. Went over there in Yuma, Arizona, which is sort of where where California, Arizona, and Mexico meet. So not a mad spot to be in by any chance. Near some of the El Gadonas were some of the biggest portals for the Mexican cartel in the world.
Dude, there's a gas. I don't know where exactly it is, but there's a gas station right probably like 2 hours before Phoenix, and it's like you can literally, there's the gas station, and then it goes down the hill a bit.
And the big
there's
brown wall,
there's a fucking fence, and then there's fucking Mexico.
Yeah.
It's so gnarly.
Man, I've driven from Arizona to LA so many damn times. When you drive through Mexicali and all that sort of stuff like that, like, I see more border patrol cars than I see normal cars.
Fuck
you know what I mean?
son.
Like,
People
don't know it's real. People like,
dude, I've been in jail in El Paso.
Oh,
at the border control.
Oh, you know it's you know what's real.
Fuck.
So you've done that route before. Yeah. All right. But then from there, so it's a good football program at the time. Terrible place to live and rough place
and hot as balls.
Man, I think it's in the Guinness Book of World Records for most calculated sunlight per year. The sun was coming up at like 3 a.m, going down at like 9:30. It was blowing my mind, man.
Really?
I would FaceTime my family at like 9 at night. I'm like, yeah, it's still sunny outside. Like, I was mad tan. I lost 30 pounds because I was eating ramen noodles and fresh air every day because that's all I could afford. But then from there, I went over no scholarship, and they were like, if you play good, we'll put you on scholarship for the next year and then see how you get recruited. So I did the whole season, balled out. I was lucky enough. By the end of that season, coming into the next season, I was the number 1 player in the whole of America.
In JUCO?
In JUCO, yeah. In recruitable athletes. That's high school and junior college.
Okay.
So I was the number 1 player. I was 5-star. I was everyone. So
how do they work that out? Like they because it's like weird rankings over there, right? They have like committees that will like sit and then rank the teams and then athletes, right?
Yeah. So it was through like Rivals and a few other websites that do a lot of the rankings. It's based on... It has nothing to do with the school or your record. Like, you could be a trash team. It helps if you can play a part in that.
Yeah.
But it's like your size, speed, your stats and stuff. And like, I was out there
just mauling.
Yeah, I was going pretty hard my first year, and we did pretty well too. So it always makes it look better.
Were you always a defensive tackle?
Yeah, most of the time. In Australia, I dabbled in like anything because that's just how it is. Like, played tight end, played middle linebacker, played center, played guard, played everything. Like, that's just, the nature of having 9 plays on a team.
Yeah.
But then from there, I was then recruited by everybody. So like Nick Saban, Joe Paterno from Penn State, who passed away, Lane Kiffin, Ed Orgeron when he was at USC. Like, every single coach on earth like came out to see me, as they would, I guess, be number 1.
It's like a movie, bro.
Oh, it's exactly. I tell people it's like The Blind Side. When everyone just comes to try and talk to you and stuff like that. But I was the only one there, and I didn't know any of them. Like, Nick Saban came, and I'm like,
who's
Nick
this guy?
Saban? I'm like, who the hell is this guy? You know what I mean? Like, he flew in a private jet to come see me. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll chat with him.
That's fucking... Isn't that crazy that you're like literally eating fucking noodles and like just like struggling to get by, and some dude flies from Alabama in a private jet
holding this golden ticket, man,
just to like,
hey, I got one for you. You take one tour of the chocolate friggin' factory.
That's kind of what it's like, eh?
Oh, 100%. And that's the only reason you're a JUCO. You're not there to go to school. That's part of it.
You did have to keep.
Yeah, you have to.
Grades, right?
Yeah, 100%. At least I think it was 2.3 at the time when it was there, which is above a C average. But you're there to get out. You know what I mean? And that's the attitude you have to go into it. And I was just lucky enough that my roommate at the time was from South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, and he was helping me sift. So I had a huge whiteboard in my dorm, as these already small dorms. This room's probably bigger than the dorm we had.
No shit.
Huge whiteboard, and I split it up. Had teams, and then I had pros and cons. Like, and it was like, for me, it was just like, coaches, schemes, like what sort of players, all that sort of stuff on there. And it was just like, at the start, I was like, I had University of Hawaii, Alabama, this, and then by the end of the week, stacked whiteboard. Man, I was just boxes of handwritten letters from coaches. Like,
that's so nice.
I was like, man, please be like some scratchies or some money or something in here, man. Like, it's crazy. People want you so bad. I'm like, oh, I'm out here starving, but we can come next year and play. But then I played. Like, get me out now, motherfucker. Yeah, I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, if this, I feel like I'm in daycare or something. Like, I need to get out of here. And then from there, so I ended up playing another year, finished as like one of the top players in the country, all American, all that sort of stuff. Then getting ready to choose where I went. Took some trips around. Ended up decided. I had 2 choices. So it was go to a small school, like at the time, which would be like a UCLA, USC, Oregon, and be the man, be that guaranteed dude. Yeah. Or go to Alabama and literally have to earn every time I touch the field every day nonstop. And knowing me and the path and stuff, I was like, man, this just adds to the story, and this is just what I'm about. So I chose Alabama. And I chose Alabama. A big reason was the town of Tuscaloosa, which is like, man,
crazy.
Man, absolutely wild place. One of my favorite places on planet Earth to this day to go to.
Isn't it crazy how those fucking college towns are like built, or like Tallahassee's the same. Like, dude, I remember flying to Tallahassee. So the most famous motocross rider of all time lives in Tallahassee. So we had to go film, book the flights, and I'm just like, this is going to be the most boring week of my life, right? And then, so we get there, and then we're driving through the town. I'm like, it's pretty fucking nice here, dude. Like, I didn't think Tallahassee would like be like this, but because it's Florida State, it's like, it was fucking crazy. And the girls that were there.
Florida State. I had the opportunity to go to Florida State, and one of the reasons I didn't go down there because people get lost.
Dude, you can get lost in the sauce there, big.
Dude, more than the sauce down there. But yeah, it's wild. Like, I think Alabama.
They build these whole towns, man, on these colleges.
Oh, Alabama's the stadium holds 110,000, but on any given game day, that the town's population fluctuates up to like 700,000.
Yeah, and then everyone's like tailgating, like all the parties. Like Georgia's the same. Like
people don't understand
that. Athens, man, it's fucking the whole town. Like we used to go to Athens when football games were on, and just like fucking party. Like it was legit what you see in movies. Like every frat house, like there was just a swarm of people. The game's going in the stadium that holds 100,000 people, and then you're just like rolling through town and just like walking into these frat houses.
People don't understand. Like, I try and tell people, like, we were getting ready for practice on Thursday night, and people are already parking at the stadium, like getting their stuff set up. Thursday.
It's so gnarly.
Like, everything happens Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday. Everyone's like, I don't think people sleep. Like, I didn't know what the lifestyle was. Like, I was playing the whole time. Like, I'm in the hotel looking outside. Like, what are all these people doing out there? Like, that looks fun. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's just, I can't even describe it to people. And my family couldn't even really get it until they came and were like,
what?
They were walking through, and it was just like people screaming, like people barbecuing on like trucks, like
on the tailgate.
Yeah, that are like driving with TVs on the back. You know, people like, you go, like I said, I compare it to whatever's professional here. I go to the Broncos or Lions, and I'm like, and I live close to the Gabba, and I'm like, if I lived that close to the Gabba, like I lived next to Bryant Denny, like there is no way in hell that I would be able to live there.
No,
like it would be too loud, too busy, just swamped of people nonstop. Like, it's pretty much, you're taking the Shoelace Express. You're walking everywhere on game day because everywhere's closed, man.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're trying to drive on the outskirts of town, nowhere else in downtown you're going to get around. But like I said, an extra 500,000 people
flood into town.
Yeah, in a town that isn't really, I guess, made to hold that. But I loved it, man. I love the state of Alabama. I love the people in Alabama. I think that's like, well, most of my adult life was based around Alabama, so it's like the closest thing to like
it'd feel like
my home.
Yeah,
my home. And the people there, they're still there to this day. But then from there, I went and enrolled into that sort of stuff and kickstarted my journey there. I was lucky enough to go into a team of extremely, extremely good athletes and extremely good coaches. And again, same situation, had to work extra hard because I wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
I wasn't as fast as anybody. I wasn't as strong as anybody, but I knew that I was going to work harder than everybody. And I did that. And it paid off. I started every game.
Really?
I started every game at Alabama.
That's sick.
From day one. And then, we went on to win 2 national championships, started national championships, played, did everything, parades, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, everything. And like I said, was lucky enough to be around some amazing men and women on my journey through the University of Alabama, and who are still there, like Nick Saban, all those sort of guys. And then from there, I actually tore a few things in my knee in the SEC championship, which in the first quarter took a quarter off, come back in the third quarter, and end up like playing a big role in us winning. And then we went to national championship. We win the last national championship there, but that knee messed me up to get drafted into the NFL a few months after that. So then I was actually projected top 5 interior defensive lineman for the whole draft. So like I was like late first, second, third guaranteed. I fell to the 5th round because of my knee and some other stuff that I can't guarantee. And then it was, like I said, then from there, it's all part of my story, my path. And then, I was lucky enough to get picked up with, again, an amazing group of men and women with the Seattle Seahawks. John Snyder, Pete Carroll. Like, the guys I had on my team were unbelievable. It was an unbelievable group of, I guess, veteran players as well as young players as well. And then,
because you had like Bobby Wagner, Richard Sherman, Russell Wilson, like that's
Cam Chancellor.
Yeah, Cam Chancellor.
We had everyone. Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, dude. Fuck.
Man, I can't even. Man, we had. You go down and name that team, like, like Sydney Rice's. Even the guys coming in with me were good as well. There was a lot of guys on that team.
What's the what was the process of being drafted like? So like
terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
So how does it work? Like, and what do you know, like, going on behind the scenes? And so I'm guessing you had to have like an agent and shit like that. Yeah.
So
as well.
like when you finish, so as soon as the national championship ticks over and we won, I'm no longer, I guess, an amateur athlete. You sign with the agent right after that because you've had a few meetings before that under the supervision of the university.
Are they good with that sort of shit? Because like one of the big things with the NFL is like the money that you make out of college and like dudes just go broke pretty much. Like there's a big problem in the NFL because so there's like is there like a 2 or 4 year contract where you can't make like retarded money?
Yeah, it's changed a lot now. So the new CBA changed a lot. So it came down to like stock money. So the only big chunks of money you made was like signing bonuses or other stuff around it. So it created almost an even playing field and you have to like earn getting through. But then from there, it's just like getting drafted was like as soon as you stopped playing, and because people don't understand this, the season is long. The draft, the combine, all that stuff, those dates don't change.
Yeah.
So if you play in the national championship, I think I only had 4 weeks to get ready to do it. Well, these other teams that finished, they had 10 weeks to get ready.
Yeah, because you've played like all
we've
the
been playing, so we're all banged up. So we literally have to like the next day, like after recovery, you start training, you start getting ready. Like we got to perform at the highest level in front of the world, essentially. Like we got to get ready to go. And then you go through all that sort of stuff. Go to if you get invited to the combine, go to the combine. Do other workouts. Teams will come and work you out in person, which I did a bunch. They just come and like run you to the ground, man, like just wild stuff. And then they'll put you on the board, which is get a whiteboard, and then just be like, draw a play up, draw a zone, defense, if it's on this, and this, 2 tight ends, stacked, whatever, and you have to draw in sort of your position. Because the big part is people don't understand, like you have to know a lot about a lot of other positions as well, because you're playing together.
You got to anticipate what they're going to do.
Well, you just have to know, like, you can cause some drama if you don't know what a lot of other people are doing. And it just makes you smarter football player.
Yeah.
But then, going from that, you sort of, then just have to meet with the team, see what they think. A lot of different teams per what you're good at, what sort of player you are, where you fit. People don't understand that. It's like the best player doesn't get picked first. And like the worst player doesn't get picked last. It's situational.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like what teams need.
Yeah, what teams need. Like if you're
plus
the best,
then there's like trades where guys are like teams are trading for different picks.
People are always like, oh man, like, oh, this dude's not even that good. He's at number 3 overall. I'm like, yeah, but a team might have wanted him for a different reason that they're not going to put on the internet or that you can't see. So it's a wild. There's so much stuff that happens in that time. And it's for an Australian person being over there, and I had nobody over there. It's just me and my agent, and I was just training nonstop. That's all I did. I was like, I didn't care when I got drafted or whatever. I just needed to be ready when I got into camp. So that's all I did, train and he did all that sort of stuff. And then draft came, and they called my name. Like, man, I literally was. Well, the draft was on. I was working out. I was in the University of Alabama. I was training with my boy. And then on the 3rd day, when he got lunch, we worked in my phone call. And they were like, oh, hey, it's John Snyder from Seattle Seahawks. We're about to pick you. I'm like, cool, man. Like, let's go.
Fuck, that's
and he's like, yeah, we'll put Pete Carroll on. So everyone's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, cool, man. Like, yes.
So they try and make like a big song and dance about it.
Yeah, I'm just like, man, like, let's go. I'm like,
let's just fucking
book the flights. Like, I'll come up tonight. It wasn't like that. Like, it was like 3 days later we came up and had mini camp and all that sort of stuff. And then from there, that's when I started sort of. Yeah, you have no role in who picks you or like why, or like I said, it's so situational and you have no part of that.
That's got to be such a crazy time because you could end up going to fucking Cleveland.
Yeah. Well, I was originally supposed to get picked by the Chargers.
Oh, that would
right
be
before.
Cool.
Yeah. And then Seattle traded up in front of them, and then they got me. I was like, man, if only. But San Diego is a nice place. I loved it. And I went and worked out there. I knew a lot of players out there.
San Diego is cool, but like that wasn't the best football team. I think you ended up being. Fucking working out.
It was a better situation.
San Diego is a beautiful city.
Yeah, I love like La Jolla and stuff like that.
Oh, dude, so good. Yeah. Is that where most of those guys live?
I think the ones that it's a pretty far drive to where their facility is, but a few do live out there. Yeah, it's a nice place though. I love Seattle though.
Yeah, Seattle is sick. You know the most fucking, who was it? I can't remember whether I was saying this I wasn't saying it on the podcast. I was talking to one of the homies from the States. He come over here recently. And so we filmed a recording, like a band record an album in Seattle, in Portland actually. And that whole like area, they're all like, Portland has the best beer in the world. And I'll be like, where else you been? You been to Germany? They invented beer. No, I haven't been to Germany. And I'm like, all right, so you don't know who the fuck has the best beer in the world? But like that whole area, they're so like into their own shit. Like they've got such a cool little like vibe that they've got going on where it's like all about Seattle.
Yeah, that Pacific Northwest life, bro.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's mad cloudy up there, so they don't get to see much else, you know? So and Portland's a interesting place to say the least, you know what I'm saying? But I loved it, man. Seattle had like super good vibes and like real nice people. It's super techy, like modern place, like fashiony. And I enjoyed the time there in the city. But yeah, I think. Did
you live like downtown? Like you stayed in the city?
No, so I stayed close to the facility. The facility was in Renton, which is not at the stadium.
Yeah. Okay.
So people always get that mixed up. Like most facilities, it's probably like 60-40 in the NFL. The facilities aren't even at the stadium.
Yeah, they've got like their own.
Yeah, we only went to the stadium like once a fortnight maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you maybe played one game. But we all lived out in Renton, which is good. Like the traffic was wild in Seattle. There's no traffic like it in Australia. Like I-5 and 405, it's like LA, but there's less highways.
So they have the 405.
Yeah, it runs all the way out there.
So it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it runs all the way to like Vancouver or something.
Yeah.
It must turn into something else when it gets to Canada.
Yeah, I-5 would be International 5 and then International.
But doesn't it go from like Mexico to Canada or something?
Probably. Yeah, well, I knew the 5 did, but I didn't think the 405 did. Dude, the 405 in LA is fucked. I used to live right off the 405.
I lived on the 405 in Seattle.
Oh, fuck that noise, dude. That's just a joke.
Like, I would just sit out on the balcony, and I was far enough back where I could see it, but couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
So I would just sit out there and I'm just like, if I needed to go anywhere, I'd run out on the balcony and be like, damn, this is like traffic already. But you just get really good at the backways. And that's what my parents noticed. But every time I get to a new place, I just drive around. I just drive and drive and drive. I might drive for like 5 hours.
Yeah, you just like to learn.
And I just remember, like, I'm like looking for landmarks or stores or things. And it didn't take me long in Seattle. I was like back roads.
Yeah.
And I had a huge truck, man, and the exhaust was like loud as
fuck.
So like,
what'd you have?
I had a lifted Chevy Tahoe. So I had an 8-inch suspension lift on a Chevy Tahoe with it wasn't 40s. It was just below 40s. But it was like, the exhaust was like, it was my baby, man. I loved it. 5% tint, 30% tint windshield. Like, that was windows down to drive at night. Like, it was hectic. But I loved it, dude. Like, it was...
Yeah, it was American
typical. Yeah, it was just like, get out the way. You know, like, huge, like... 10,000K like LED lights. Like, it was wild. So like driving the back roads, man, it was just like all you could hear is my exhaust just like smashing down
Monstar.
The Monstar. But yeah, then from there it was a good experience playing in Seattle and all that sort of stuff. But then, man, like sport, had a bunch of injuries, hurt my knee, had nothing to do with anything but purely sports injuries. Like it wasn't like I was just like, doing backflips in the parking lot, hurt my leg, or like I was messing around. It was just like just playing football, not looking. Man, people are falling on the ground all the time. People falling into people, get hurt.
It's a lot of big bodies moving around at the same time.
Well, people don't understand. Like if I'm playing a double team, I'm holding on to 2 guys. If someone hits me, like I still got 2 guys trying to crush me while someone else comes and falls into me. Like, and it happens so much in my position. Like, honestly, I'm surprised it happened less to me before that situation. And then from there, it was disappointing, I think, mentally, because I was touted pretty good, and like anytime we played camp or anything like that, like I was balling out, like I was doing really well. Because if I wasn't, I wouldn't have been there for 3 years.
Yeah,
there's no way in hell. And then
you're so expendable at the NFL. It's fucking crazy.
You blink, you're gone, man. Your stuff's packed up in a box already.
Yeah.
And then after the Super Bowl and then the loss of the Super Bowl, we come back for the third season at OTAs. Again,
did you play many snaps for Seattle at all?
Nah, just because of my knee.
Yeah, right.
Well, I hurt both. One year, one the second year. Man, it was like...
But they saw so much potential.
Yeah, like...
That they kept you
What I
on.
try and explain to people is like, when I was playing, I was balling. But I kept getting these random... And it wasn't like I was hurt every week. It was just 2 big injuries that hit me. But I was, like the person I was like overcoming. I'm like rehab back as hard as I could, came back mad strong. Third year, I'm like, yo, ball out year. So I get ready with off-season camps. I come out playing great. I'm doing really well. Everything feels good. Like I've put so much extra effort into literally everything. I mean, like literally the best shape of my life at the age of 24. I was probably 310 pounds, which is much smaller than I am right now. And just as good looking, but like I felt awesome. And then I'm like, all right, cool. This is good. Like, this is going the right direction. Like coaches are happy. They're stoked I'm playing well, or stuff like that. And then, man, I just start pissing blood. And I'm like, oh, this is wild. I'm like, I must be really dehydrated. But I actually, at the time, like I told you the other day, I was doing BJJ a lot through a group of guys at AMC in Seattle for football, for grappling and moving and like throwing dudes like in regards to football. And I was messing around with one of the guys while I was there, and he actually kneed me in my side that day. And I was like, I'm like, okay, pump the brakes, Bruce Lee, you know? So I'm like, whatever.
So you did it on purpose, or?
No, it was just an accident. We just went the wrong way, but it just like, he ended up kneeing me in my side, in the side where the kidney was. So I'm like, oh, whatever. And then I'm pissing blood the next day, and I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, okay. I'm like, being the hard-headed person I am, I'm like, I'll just leave it, man. I'm probably just dehydrated. In hindsight, if anyone's listening that pisses blood for one day, go to the hospital now. And then I just kept going, kept training hard, and this was off season, so I was going like I was
fucking hand.
Lifting in the morning, running, doing BJJ. I was like running again that night time, and I was doing all my recovery protocol at night, like sitting in the sauna. I would like jump rope in the sauna for like an hour. I was doing everything.
Dude, fuck you and jiu-jitsu. That's a place that I never want to fucking go.
People always say that. People are like, man, I just don't. People just don't want me on top of them.
Fuck that.
Like if I get on top, like it's just gravity helping me more than the technique. You know what I mean? Like, and like I said, I wasn't doing like a technical BJJ in regards to like a comp or using. We never really used a gi, but the stuff we were doing, obviously, like the maneuvers, how we do it, like. I was already so strong in my hands, which I still am to this day, from grabbing and throwing dudes playing football. Yeah. That like I tell people, if I grab someone, the only way they get out is if I let go. Yeah. Not if they like break out. There's like no such thing. Like my hands, it's hard enough for me just to open my hands, let alone someone else get out. So it played a big role in me, just like if I try and choke somebody, like I'm taking this with me, and you can take whatever else you get out of it. You know.
There's a different level. Like one of my mates, Joey G. He's a pro. He's 6-0 heavyweight boxer, and we got the mats here. And he was like, he's been fucking around with some jiu-jitsu lately. I think he would have maybe done like 12 sessions of jiu-jitsu. Like, and he's a fucking athlete. Like he's Olympic fucking boxer and shit. And we rolled here, and he got like a straight footlock kind of grip on me, and I was like, I'm pretty good at defending those anyway. And the thing with that is like, it's not going to be like a break. There's like, if someone gets like a Kimura, that can break your arm, like an armbar can break. So I was like, it's not really like a breaking pressure. So like, I'll just try and get out of it. Motherfucker, it was halfway up my leg, and he ripped it on, and I legit thought my leg was going to break, and I had to fucking ice both sides of my leg from it. And like there's just a different, like when you've got a legit athlete, like a big strong athlete, it's a different fucking game, dude.
It's wild, man. And like at AMC, I was lucky enough, that's where Demetrius Johnson fights out of.
That's what you were saying.
That's so Mighty Mouse. And like there's a flip side to being big and stuff like that, and when you go against guys like Demetrius Johnson, with like could probably break your neck in like in a blink. And it was just cool to be around guys like that. I would watch him train and do stuff, and like he would grapple with some of our guys and just
handle them.
Yeah, put them in positions where, well, no one's trying to be in.
Yeah.
But it was wild, man. I love doing BJJ, not so much from like a comp standpoint or anything like that, but it's almost like a series of lots of little challenges over and over and over again.
Yeah,
and it's solution making at like really pressure situations of like, this is really painful. Like I need to figure out a way out of this like right now. And I was just lucky enough. It was some good dudes like Matt Hume, who's Demetrius Johnson's coach. He runs a bunch of stuff in Bangkok and all this stuff. And they were like, man, so humble about stuff like that. And they were extremely, extremely talented mixed martial artists. And so having us come in and stuff like that, and like dudes that just walk on the mats with like their shoes and stuff, and like it was just like it was like a different situation for a lot of the guys that like, man, they come from the hood or something like that. Like they don't know what BJJ is and stuff like that. But I loved it. But then so he kicks me, and then I'm like, oh, it must be that. I'm like, oh, just tough it out, man. Like it's whatever. So it's like a week gone. I'm like, still doing it. I'm like, this is weird. I'm like,
fuck, you pissed blood for a week and
it gets a lot better. So after the week, I can start my bathroom smells like I'm like cutting up steaks in the bathroom. It's blood. So I'll show you the picture of it after.
Bro.
And so then week 2 clicks along, and I start pissing clots of blood. I can hear it.
Like chunks.
Yeah. And I'm like, oof. I'm like, this is weird. I don't think I really want to do this anymore. So I go there. We're still training.
This is crazy because you've got access to like really good fucking doctors, bro.
Yeah, I know. But like in my head, I'm like, yo, they're gonna think I'm weak because I'm out here pissing my own blood.
I could. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, is this really worth me telling them? Like in my head, I'm like, I'd rather just pass out of practice than them find out through me telling them.
Through like I'm still here working.
Yeah. And then I actually go to the trainers because we're still training every day. Like a very tough off-season program. I go to the trainers, this guy's named Strick, and then I go and I'm like, hey man, I got a bit of like blood in my urine. And he's like, oh cool man, that's all right. He was like, just give us a sample and show us. I'm like, all right,
it's
cool.
like red.
Bro. I got another picture for that as well. But then I take the sample, I go back in there, and I'm like, oh man, here it is. And it looks like Coca-Cola, but like with like sea monkeys like of blood.
No, dude.
And Russell Wilson was actually getting stretched because before practice or workout. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's just urine. He was like,
what?
He was like,
from what?
Yeah, he's like, what, yours? I'm like, yeah, just then. He's like, no way. I'm like, no way. I'm like, okay. I'm like, do you want me to show you, bro? I'm like, I can write your name on the grass out there if you want me to, you know? And then I showed Strick and they lost it, man. They were like, is that actually your blood? Like, honestly, like right now, that's your blood. And I'm like, yes. Like, I just urinated in this. And he's like, sit down right there. I'll be back in a second. They're all running around, calling an ambulance. Stuff like that. I was like, calm down. I was like, I'll finish my workout and then I'll go to the ambulance after. So I finished the workout. I go lift weights, come back. Ambulance is here. They put me in an ambulance. I'm like just sitting there like patiently, like, oh, all right, you know. And then go over there. They get tests, and I think they originally thought it was like kidney stones or something. And I was like, oh, okay. This doesn't feel like that, but all right. I had no pain whatsoever. It still felt good. It was just like lots of blood. And it wasn't like little droplets of red. It was like I cut my wrist into the toilet.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. And then from there, nothing happened that day. So I didn't get no tests, but some bloods and some scans, whatever. I go back to my house and I was like sitting at my bench on my computer. I was like typing away. And then I sat up. I was like, damn, my back is tight. I sat up to stretch my back and I just like pass out.
Really?
Yeah. And I, as you can tell, tattoos on my head or whatever, I got a pretty high pain tolerance. And this like hit me like a bag of bricks, man. I get up and I'm like looking for my phone. I'm like calling my boy. I'm like, yo, he lived 2 houses down from this in this estate. And I was like, we need to go to the hospital right now.
I need help. Yeah.
Come and get me. Like, please tell me you're at home. He's got a little fast car, comes down, picks me up. And at this time, like I'm sort of like going to the shock, not so much for like pain. It was more like I'm dying. I'm like, something's happening. You know what I mean? Like for me to like lose my grip of what's going on, I'm like, something is seriously wrong. So he throws me and then we get in the car and then like I'm like in and out of consciousness driving there. I'm like going white because I'm like hyperventilating in my breath. I'm like, I can't like grab enough oxygen to like keep my eyes open. I could get to the hospital, Bellevue Hospital, and like I said, we drove on 405 and this dude was like doing 160, man, in and out because he's nervous too. He's like, oh, like another player's gonna die in my car. we're gonna have to sell the car. And then we get to the hospital. He runs in there, grabs a wheelchair, like leaves it halfway, and then like drags me on, then throws me on, like runs me inside, and effectively, I guess saved my life. One of my close friends, Jordan Hill, still to this day. But from there, they started doing more tests and like, oh, we need to do a biopsy or stuff like that. And like, I was in pain probably for 6 hours. It felt like childbirth. And no offense to no women, I don't think it's as bad as that. But they gave me legally what the max amount of painkillers they possibly could.
Man, I feel like that should be adjusted for someone that's as big as you, though, you know?
Well, they said that's without getting like you completely knocked out, because they still needed to like talk to me and stuff like that. And I was like freaking ragdolling around, man. I was just like, I couldn't, because it was so deep inside me. I couldn't like track where it was. You know, as if you hit something, you're like, oh yeah. But it was like so inside me. I was like,
organ pains.
I'm like, something is wrong. I'm like, I felt like this is like the movie Species, and like my stomach was about to open up or something, you know?
Yeah. And
then from there, I end up staying there for a few hours. The doctors come and get me or whatever from Seattle, take me back to the facility. Pain goes away. I'm like, all right, wake up the next day. Over the next week, I start going through tests like hardcore, biopsy like while I was awake, like huge needle in to take a piece of my kidney while I was awake. At this time, my family's already on the plane. So they're already coming over like the next day. Yeah, it was like high alert, like I was dying.
Fuck.
Yeah, so, or they, in communications with the team and stuff like that, like was
the team pretty cool?
It was like code. Yeah. They played a huge role in I guess that journey. It was red alert from day one. As soon as they literally, like, no pun intended, as soon as they saw the blood, it was just like alarms in the head. So then my family got in, and I did what everyone does when they pick their family up in the US. I took them to the outlet malls. Like, man, if someone's dying, we got to get some Nikes at least, right?
I was gonna say,
we're going to take something back as a memory.
Yeah.
So we go and take them, whatever, and I actually we're waiting for the results to get in, what's happening. And I remember it so vividly, man. Like, we were at Tulalip Malls, which is north of Seattle. They were in the Nike store. We were all walking in. I was like, oh, my phone's ringing. It says Dr. John Gore. I'm like, this is not good. So they went in and looking around or whatever. I answered the call. Got this strong American accent. And like, hey, Jesse, Dr. John Gore here from the University of Washington. He's like, you got time to talk? I'm like,
oh, so you were getting tested by like the University of Washington?
Yeah, I did everything at University of Washington. So they're like one of the best places in the US. And then he's like, oh, we got some good news and the bad news. I said, oh, well, give me the bad news then. He said, we got the test back, and it is cancer. Yeah, it's this really rare type of very, very aggressive cancer. He said it's type 2 renal carcinoma, and he said it's pretty bad. I'm like, he said it's completely crushing your kidney, so your kidney's essentially just getting crushed and not doing anything.
Yeah.
So it was pure blood pretty much coming back, because it wasn't filtering anything, and it was like the blood getting caught in the catchment, and like I was just literally pissing blood. That's why the smell was so bad, because it wasn't really mixed with urine. It was just blood.
Fuck.
And then from there, he said the good news is we need to do surgery like this Thursday. And I think it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. And he said we need to do it like as soon as possible. So he was like, you can either take a piece of the kidney that's affected or take your whole kidney. I said, what's the quickest recovery? He said, take the whole kidney. I said, take everything you need to take.
Yeah, right.
So, and then I remember this was so cliche, and it was like a movie. I was sitting outside on the phone, hearing this, looking through the window, looking at my dad like,
you good?
He was like, what's up? And I'm just looking at him like, then everyone came out, and we sort of like, my parents did the, whole sort of, my mom did the whole cry and like sort of get upset. And I was like,
it is what it is.
I was like, forget about it. I was like, we kept shopping, man. I was like, keep shopping, do whatever. Like, I'll figure it out when I got to figure it out. So we did that, bought all the stuff. And, at this time, like I was already losing weight pretty hardcore, because I wasn't allowed to train. I wasn't like, they had security on me, man. Like I wasn't allowed to do nothing.
Really?
Yeah, because if I was at a risk health-wise, like...
they don't want to be liable,
yeah. We're not going to have you die on the premises today. You know what I mean? So, and then from there, that Wednesday we had a big meeting and with the team, and we had to meet with the media people. All the media outlets were all there, like a big table and stuff. And then we put together sort of what's going to get put out of like what's happening, and then that afternoon, then we're going to release everything. And then, man, like it went pretty wild. Like I had to turn my, I had 2 phones at the time. I had to turn my phone off like the whole day. I was getting hit up from everywhere. Like people like in my primary school in Brisbane were like hitting me up. That was the only time where I felt I had any sort of support.
That's crazy, yeah,
from the
that's
country.
What it takes, yeah.
Oh man, it was wild. And then like I was getting it from everywhere, every which angle. And it honestly, it made it a little bit harder. Not so much because I was like, I didn't want the support, but it was just like, it put so much attention on me. So I was like, man, in my head, I'm like, man, now all these people are going to think I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're going to think I'm like weak because my kidney wasn't strong enough or something, you know? Like, and, I guess it was a bit of an immature way of thinking. Being a young man.
Like you're pretty young at the time.
Oh man, 100%. I mean, like you're a professional athlete. I was like, that's the mindset you got. Like, man, I show no weakness. Like, this is not a porcelain vase. This is something made of steel, you know? So it was a bit like that. And it was tough reading a lot of the stuff because I would see the articles like when I was going into hospital and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, these are bad. I'm like, man, these people are saying this stuff's actually really bad, you know? So it was affecting me a lot mentally, but I was pretty like unshakable about anything. Like I wasn't crying. I was just like, I treated it like I had the flu. And then when I was getting ready for surgery and I knew what the risk was of losing a major organ and or what happens whenever you go under for such a serious. And I was like, man, and I posted on my Instagram on the day. My dad was with me sitting in the prep room or whatever. And I said, take a photo of me real quick. Like anyone would, you know, like check my fit out real quick. And then he took a photo of me and I had no emotion in my face. I looked straight down the camera like it didn't mean nothing to me. And I actually posted saying, no fear in my heart on Instagram and on Twitter and stuff, and it just blew up, man. Like that was a picture that you used, and I still got that picture, and I think about it all the time. And I went in there. I actually have a picture my brother took of me walking into the hospital because I treated it like a game day, man. I had a game day outfit. I was listening to music as I went in there. I said, "No one talk to me, man. Like let me get ready. Like I'm gonna get ready to do this, you know." So I did all that, went in there, and then it was actually a pretty funny situation. I'm supposed to be in there for 5 days. And I went in for the surgery. My parents went off because it's a pretty long surgery, taking the kidney out. And I get out, I wake up, I'm like, no one's around, the doctors or whatever, because it was like nighttime. My parents going to come back in a few hours. I told them like, oh, I need to get out of here. I can't, I'm like, I'm not staying here. Like, you need to hear me. So I was like asleep for 3 hours. I wake up and I'm like, I'm going. Like, get whoever is the head person in here, and then they will tell me what I have to do to get out. And he said, all right, you have to walk around the ward twice. You have to take the catheter out.
Fuck,
and then
whole deal sucks.
And then you have to sit up out of bed without knowing and get up. So before he finished the sentence, I already rolled out, and because they cut through my core. Yeah, I have like 12. I had 8 little holes so that my core, like I couldn't get nothing. So like, it's hard to explain. It's like literally like giving birth. If you have like a C-section, they cut through it, so you can't like use your core to get up. So I rolled over like I was like had nothing left. Popped myself up. I was lucky my upper body was so strong. Popped myself up. Walked around the ward twice. I was like, cool, what's next? He said, all right, we'll take the catheter out. And that, I think, having a catheter was the worst part. If it was like cancer or catheter, I'm like, catheter side, that's probably the worst situation. Yeah. I was asleep when they put it in, but I was wide awake when they took it out.
Dude, going in is worse than coming out too.
I'm glad I was asleep. But the going out, the lady was like playing tug of war, me and my, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, I was just like, and pulled it out, and I was like, I felt it like up here somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I never want to be intruded like that ever again.
Dude, I got one done. I got one done. So it's crazy. I got a fucking gnarly kidney story as well. I won't bore you.
They're no good. They're always.
Dude, it's fucking bad. But yeah, I get to hospital in Adelaide. Like I flew home from LAX to Brisbane, and I took like two Xanax and what else did I take? I took like 2 Xanax and 2 Valium. I was like yellow, dude. Like my kidney failed, and I never knew at the time, but I only got one. So I thought I had 2 kidneys.
Oh, you only have one by birth? I
was born with one.
Oh wow!
And so that's like kind of similar. Like, but I fucking elbowed myself in the ribs snowboarding, and like this old lady just fucking lost control. I was macking down a hill in Tahoe, and then I fucking basically jumped off the side of the mountain to like not kill this old lady. She was like full pink helmet to fucking skis the
just
whole
like
deal.
locked stiff,
yeah, just
down.
fucked, and I was just absolutely moving. So I've avoided this chick and just cartwheel, dude, and got up, and like the pain in the side of my fucking ribs, same deal, piss and blood, whatever. Yeah. I stayed in LA for a month, didn't go to the doctors because I was actually working with Ricky Fowler. Oh. So then I was like, dude, I fucking want to do this job. So yeah, anyway, I was like basically fucking dead, dude. And you were
looking like a Simpsons character.
For real, dude. Like there's a photo of me in an elevator with Ricky Fowler at the Phoenix Open.
Who looks tanner?
Yeah, bro. I look like I was like I was like, you're a retard, dude. Like anyone that saw that, but it's such a slow thing. Like
everyone just thought you were taking melanin pills or something.
Yeah, dude, like a fucking junkie. But anyway, so I like flew home, and then I went to Adelaide to try and help my brother out for the Adelaide 500. And then get a phone call, and they're like, hey, you have literally 3% kidney function, and you only have one kidney. Like, you need to go right now. Like, you can fucking die at any moment. Yeah. And the crazy thing is my blood pressure was like through the roof. Yeah. Because you've only got one, and like it just fucking blocks you up. Yeah. So anyway, I get to hospital, and this fucking chick is there putting this catheter in, and she just can't make it happen, dude. Ugh. And I'm just sitting there like no painkillers. Like it's the first thing as soon as I got in hospital, and she's just fucking trying to jam this thing up there, and I'm like, fucking spit on it, like do something. Like you have to lube this fucking thing up. And but like coming out is what I ended up having like 4 different kidney surgeries. So I had the big one as well, where they like cut you all the way open. Yeah, dude. I think the most pain I've ever felt in my life is when they pulled the catheter. Coming out for me wasn't actually that bad. I was dreading it, but compared to going in, I was like, fucking that was cake. And then they said like you have to get up and you have to piss by yourself. And I got up on like the walking frame, and bro, I was shaking with pain. Like I almost passed out because you've got like you can't use your core at all. Yeah,
I felt like Casper the Ghost, you know what I'm saying? Like,
dude, I felt like my fucking guts was gonna fall out of my chest. Like I had to I was trying to tense my guts to because it felt like everything was just gonna go
I used to like try and hold my stomach like this. I was like, because I felt the same thing. I'm like,
everything's gonna come out. Yeah, it's fuck. I've never met anyone else that's gone through that surgery, dude.
Yeah, I think I should create a group on Facebook, like guys have had catheters that don't like it or something. But it's
no fucking joke, dude. Going in is bad news, bears.
Hey,
bro.
I'll give you a heads up. This is like prison said. I ain't going back if we're doing the catheter thing again. You know what I mean? Like that's a no go.
Dude, that one chick was like gnarly bad, and then I got another lady that did because I had it 4 different times because I had to go for 4 surgeries, and one chick was a pro. She fucking nailed it.
Just threw it in from the other side.
Yeah, like darts, bro. But yeah. Anyway, dude, fucking
yeah. And then where was I at?
So you've got up and you've walked around. You've done your laps.
So the funny part is I did all that sort of stuff. Jump up. I actually get changed. So I put on. I had a singlet and I had some shorts on. I was just. My family came in with like the usual get well balloons, a bunch of food they made at my house because they were staying at my house when I wasn't there. All like a bunch of clothes and stuff. They came in and I was like laying on the thing like ready. I'm like, you guys ready to roll? And they were like, what? I'm like. No one believed me. I call Seattle. No one picked up because it was mad early in the morning. So I'm like, cool. I'm right. I'm just going to check out of here, get out. And then everyone in the hospital was like looking around like, we really probably shouldn't let him go. But no, he's not. No one's going to stop me. Like no one was going to stop me.
What? And why did you want to get out so quick?
I just didn't want to be in there.
Yeah.
I've been in hospitals before. I've been in terrible situations. Been in hospitals. I was just like, this ain't happening.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll feel better if I get outside. I go outside, they drive me home. I actually drive my truck with my family, go to the store, grab groceries. So I was like bleeding out parts of my stomach. I'm like, but I need groceries though. So I was like, I'll drive, that's fine. Because I had the big truck. And
you ain't driving.
My family's all from Australia, so they're like, I'll drive.
Yeah.
Which was fine. I was walking. It was a pretty slow sort of pimp walk, which wasn't really optimal. And then that afternoon, they just finished practice, and I went to the facility. I lived across the sort of estate from it. I went over and I went in there with a little bag of, I guess, medicines and stuff they gave me. I went to the facility and like they were like seeing a ghost because I was supposed to be in there for 5 days, and like everyone was like tweeting me like I was like on my deathbed. Like I can only imagine what people actually thought the situation was. And then I went in there, they lost their mind, man. But that was when I first started my rehab. So a lot of people don't know is when I had my kidney out, the day of that removal of my kidney, I had 7 weeks and 5 days to the first preseason game. So I told my dad after that I got my surgery, I said, I'll come back. I'll play in the preseason. I said 7.5 weeks. I said, I can recover in 7.5 weeks. And they were like, no, you usually need like anywhere from like 8 to 12 months to like re-even out. And I'm like, okay, like you obviously don't know what's happening here. So I said, I'm going to come and play in 7.5 weeks. So as soon as I could do my rehab, I started pretty hard. Obviously a big thing was healing the actual cuts in my stomach. And then from there, as soon as I could walk, I was jogging. As soon as I could jog, I was running. As soon as I could lift weights, I was going. As soon as I could practice, I was going. And I took it sensibly, but I pushed pretty hard. Didn't want to rush it, but I was going pretty fast. Yeah. And then, what do you know? 7.5 weeks later, I play in all 4 preseason games. I played pretty well too, even though I was still bleeding out of 2 or 3, and I ripped stitches on 2 of them as well. So I could like put my finger like that far deep into my stomach. And they just said, there's no point putting it back together. They're just like, it's just going to heal like that. So I got some pretty gnarly scars that are pretty much tattooed over now, but I came back, played the 4 games, and I was lucky enough. My dad was actually able to stay over there for a long period of time and see me play. Like he was there for my first game and he was there for my last game, and he got to watch all of them and essentially see me overcome and push through all that sort of stuff. And I think a good part, even for him and myself, was seeing, I guess, my effectiveness to others and my story and how I affected people and in how I was doing it. You know what I mean? I'm a big person on, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And I tried to do it the best way possible, you know. And then after the 4th game, it was, it was no good. Like my health was just deteriorating pretty quickly. And I was getting tired walking upstairs. Like I couldn't get my fitness. I couldn't hold weight real well. Like it was just, my kidney was just like,
struggling to keep up.
Yeah, and like you said, the blood pressure, which I still deal to this day with, is the blood pressure of having 1 kidney and trying to like physically push.
Do you get like crazy bad hangovers?
Oh, I don't drink.
Yeah, okay.
And I never have.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah. Right.
But I do get bad headaches.
Yeah.
Like,
do you get dehydrated like super fucking easy?
Yeah. Well, imagine how much water I got to drink to freaking hydrate my body.
Last night, so I've been sick for 2 weeks basically, and then yesterday I was like, I'm going back to training. But yesterday was like the first day like where I was back working on the studio. I just didn't drink enough water. Yeah. By 3 o'clock, I was in bed with a migraine. Yeah. And I was looking, and like even now, like I'm dehydrated. Like you can't really see my veins properly. Yeah. So I'm like, fuck, like I'm constantly chasing water, and I couldn't train last night.
Honestly, I drink more water than most people probably could, and I just have to. Like if I don't,
I just don't like drinking water. Like it's fucking, it's the worst thing.
It gets old. Like trust me, as an athlete, like I've had my fair share of like, yeah, you got to drink water all the time. Like, yo, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But now because of this, I can tell much quickly, like if I get there and I'm like, whoa, my brain feels like it's honestly it's a mix between, I don't know if it's all the concussions or the high blood pressure, and right now I'm just like, let's just attack both. But then from there, on the 4th week of that last preseason game, and I sat down with my dad and stuff like that, and it wasn't looking good, so I was just like, we'll just pull the plug. And then was lucky enough to finish everything, and then sort of mentally and physically sort of come to closure a little bit with everything, like because it was just not enough to risk. You know, I had a young son at the time. It just wasn't worth not being around for some of that to just play football. Like the only reason I went over there was never to prove anybody wrong, never to make money, never to be famous. All I was doing was proving my 15-year-old self right.
Yeah, that you could do it.
Yeah, and no one believed me. I could count the people on my hands that had a positive role in that, from that 15-year-old to where I went. And the people that didn't, I would need way more hands than I got to count. Yeah. So it was a good feeling, and it was a big weight lifted off my chest. Like people don't understand. Like people are like, oh yeah, it was probably like the movie Ballers. There's no such thing. Yeah. There's probably 5 guys in the NFL that live like that. It's a very physically, mentally, draining for your family, for your partners, for everyone that's in your life. It's very tough situation. Like most people's families don't last it. A lot of situations come from that life of the NFL. And there's a lot of pressure. Like you're always competing to get better. Someone's always coming to get you. Too. Someone's always coming to get your job. It's no guaranteed contracts, not like baseball or basketball. So you're just like the whole time. I'm like, the off season, I'm supposed to be resting. I'm training 5 times as hard. You know what I mean? I'm training everywhere with everybody nonstop. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it wasn't really overtraining. It was just like I didn't have enough time to recover appropriately.
Yeah.
But yeah, then from there it was just, I was in a situation where I can do some stuff that I guess I never got a chance to when I was in the NFL, and push towards some things that I want to do. And for me, that was like coaching and strength conditioning and that sort of stuff is like a huge passion of mine. It has been since I got that gym membership when I was 16. So I think that it was just, without getting too like astrology minded, it was just one of those things. It was just felt like it just had to happen.
Yeah, it was just
like there was too many things. It was just like, do that. And I was just like, and honestly, I'm glad. People always ask me like, oh man, I'm sure you miss playing. I'm like, no way in hell do I miss that. I'm sure you've heard the Muhammad Ali quote, of hating every day of training and all that stuff. That's exactly how it was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not an easy life. People think the money dodoesn't outweigh a lot of the stresses that you have to live or go through, physically and mentally.
Yeah, risk,
yeah, like I was, before I had my kidney out, I was like 5-6 surgeries deep already. You know what I mean? And that was the ones that I got, and I probably still need a few more.
Yeah.
But I can live a normal life with it. And it was a good feeling to move on and do that sort of stuff like that, and then
plus like the concussion stuff is so fucking crazy.
Man, you ain't got to tell me, man. Like I've had.
Did you have a lot?
Well, if you saw me play or the type of person that I was, yeah, I had not the worst part is for me, and I've gone pretty hard into the research of the concussion stuff as well, just for my own peace of mind.
Yeah,
and a lot of it is not so much the huge hits, which I had a few. But I think the constant hitting and the continuity over a period of time.
Yeah, just constant.
And I just look back to my practicing every day, games, the people I'm practicing against, which are just as big, if not bigger than me. And I'm just like, man, this is not looking good. Like I retract all the way back to junior college when I had to stand out by hitting people as hard as I possibly could. And then coming back here in Australia with no education, no skill set, no fundamentals of hitting, and I was still hitting people that hard. So I was just like, a good 15 years of crushing my skull. I was like, I'm sure I got a little bit of calcium buildup, but I try and push a lot into that. I think that there's my diet changing, training. I think not being in the NFL plays a big role, but I can't go back in time. The damage is there. It is what it is. Just got to make the most of it. And I feel like I'm like we said before, very in touch with my body, and I feel like I'm a pretty cognitive person. I just keep doing as much as I can until the legs fall off, figuratively. Yeah. And then I'll cross that bridge when I get to it.
Yeah, it's definitely it's so gnarly just the way that so much shit is coming out now. Like it's got to be fucking. But it's the same as everything though. Like all this new research comes out, and then you start thinking like, dude, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. I mean, I go on the internet and type in like.
CTE,
anything to do with it, I'm like, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like where's my son? I gotta go hug him right now. Like I'm on the way out. Like, so I was taking it with a grain of salt, but I think that I was definitely in a situation that would create something like that. Yeah. I just think that what I do now and how I progress through that is going to be the difference of how it ends up. The biggest thing that scares me is the dementia side as well as the change of like personality side. Yeah.
Have you noticed any CTE sort of shit, you reckon?
I don't know. I get so many headaches. I did before I had the blood pressure stuff as well.
I was going to say the fucking kidney, the headache took me out yesterday, dude. Like I was fucked.
It masks so much. Yeah. The headaches are wild though. Like the headaches, I'll go so bad, like I can't see out of like one eye, man. Yeah. And I try and tell people, I'm like, I got a headache. And the people just think like I'm like trying to dodge.
Bro, I go to hospital for headaches. Yeah, it's fucked. Yeah. Like there's some like I went. It's all dehydration though. Yeah. Like you'd be the same with you. Yeah. Like I went didn't drink a lot of water, went surfing. It was hot as fuck. Surfed in the salt water. Then had a coffee with a friend. So that fucking dehydrated me even more. But I walked back from coffee to my car, threw up the whole time. And then I got home and I was throwing up again. And I was like, dude, I'm fucked. Yeah. And then like you're trying to drink water to get hydrated, but you're throwing up. Yeah. So it's like you can't take anything on. Fuck, straight to the hospital. IV. 2 liters of fluid. That's the only thing. It's like I literally feel like I would just fucking die if I didn't do that. Like that's how bad it gets.
Especially with blood pressure.
Well, dude, my blood pressure went fucking back to normal. They told me that I was going to be on blood pressure meds my whole life.
Yeah, that's what they told me as well.
But I don't take it. Do you take any now?
Every now and again.
Yeah,
most of the time I forget.
You can feel it, eh? Like you can feel like it's like you've had 10 coffees, eh?
Bro, I know when it's coming.
It's crazy, like, dude, eh? And then you get a headache because of it.
Like mine's a lot of dehydration and diet and stuff like that. Like can't eat a lot of salt and all that sort of stuff. But as soon as I feel it, I'm like, I have to cancel whatever's coming up. I'm like, this is not going to work out. You know, especially if I'm like coaching because I'm on my feet all the time, thinking, running around, not really. Oh, pause everyone, I got to get a drink. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's exactly the situation. All right.
But the more I take care of my my diet and everything around my body, it sort of like aligns it up. But it is annoying because it just comes out of left field, man. Like I'll have a great day. I'll be like, the one thing that gets me all the time is I'm at golf. Because you know when you're at golf, you're like, you know, you're doing everything but drinking water. And I get to like the 13th hole and I'm like, yo, like, why is the earth spinning so crazy right now? You know, like, and I don't even drink, you know? So it's just like, when I go to golf, bro, I have like my golf bag and then I have the bag of stuff that I take to golf. And that's like water, like I stop at the gas station and spend $80 on like everything just to survive, you know what I mean? But that's the life I live. I'd rather deal with headaches than die from cancer, because they said if I left it another 2 weeks it would have went to my other kidney. And
so where did you end? So like you had the surgery and then that kidney got removed, and then were you like just cancer free after that, or did you still have to do some like radiation and stuff, or?
No, I didn't do no other radiation or anything. They found traces in my lymph node, which is essentially like the highway to your body. And the scary part of this whole situation was they couldn't pinpoint where it was or what it could like amastasize as. So like I just try and tell people it's just like a ticking time bomb. You know what I mean? Like the lymph nodes is like throwing it onto the M1. You know what I mean? It's just going to go wherever it's going to go, and it's going to stop wherever it's going to stop. So that was what the continued scans and stuff were. So
you still are in that stage of like you're always just going to do like
it's like once scans a year and stuff like that. Like, and I've had a few times where I get like pretty bad, like I wouldn't say it's called phantom pain, but bad pain in that same side and stuff like that. So I'm like, after that I'm like, oh man, I better go get some scans.
Dude, that shit's fucking real though, because like I had like a implant on my tooth, and like fuck man, I just always get like these crazy like throbbing in my fucking mouth from like where and all it is like you know, they just drill a fucking tooth in there, and it's like right now there's no pain at all, and then like I'll go to bed and I'll be like, fuck, something's wrong with my face. Like it's so weird how your brain has those kind of things.
Well, I used to get it with my knees and stuff when I had surgery on my knee. Like I'd always be like rubbing my knees and stuff like that, or like I have a weird limp, but I wouldn't even be sore. It's just my body is very, very used to pain. So it's just probably confused in what the hell's going on. But so far I haven't seen, there was a few like random pop up of like things on the scans are like enough to scare them to do something else, but nothing yet. I only go once a year now. Like if it happens any other time, then that's the time. You know what I mean? Like I'm not big on, honestly, I'm not, it's like afraid of the dark thing. I'm not really afraid of the dark. I'm afraid of not seeing, you know, I'm not really afraid of dying. I'm just afraid of not being able to finish living the stuff I was supposed to do. And it doesn't really scare me. It never scared me when I was there. You know what I mean? Like it didn't cross my mind once that like, oh, I'm going to die. Nor did the negative side of being dead really cross my mind. I've done more things in the 25 years. I don't feel like I've done that much in the last 2 or 3 years. But the 25 years that most people have ever done in multiple lives. Especially from where I've come from. So I've never been one to like, I've got unfinished business like that. The only unfinished business I have is, I guess, raising my son. And then, even then, I'm like, there's nothing I really can do about the timing of how that goes. You know what I mean? Like if I spend so much time worrying about that, I'd lose the time I got right now. people always see it as more, but I'm pretty real with everything. You know what I mean? Like if the risk is there's very high risk I could crash my car as well. You know what I mean? So it's probably just as much risk.
Yeah.
It's just how you go into it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not one to be scared nor base my life on fear.
When did you have a son when you were over there?
Yeah.
So
he was born the 16th of September. Probably the second week of the 4 preseason games came back.
Yeah. Okay. And so he's like mum's American,
Australian.
Like, oh, really?
Yeah.
So was that your like missus that went over there with you, or like how'd that all work?
She was from here. Yeah. Not a good subject.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. But so he's here then?
Yeah, he's here with
like,
me. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, so I'm around him nonstop trying to do what I can. That's the long burning legacy of where that's going. You know what I mean? That's where I put a lot of everything I can.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I said it on here a few times. Like, I'm starting to get to that age where I like want to have kids and stuff, and it's always like, yeah, trying to wrap my head around that whole thing, and like I want to be fucking really good at that job. You know, like that's the job I want to do the best out of anything I've ever done.
Yeah, it's the one you'll have for the longest. You know what I mean? Like, and you'll know you won't lose money, but if you're not good, you could lose probably a lot more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I love it though. I love it. Yeah.
So when so you decide after that 4th preseason game that you call it quits, and so like how did that conversation go down? Like you just spoke with those guys, and
yeah, I just went into Coach Carroll's office with John Snyder and sort of just chopped it up and broke it down, and like, man, it made sense. You know what I mean? Like the biggest thing with me and what I told my dad was, if I can't go in there and perform, I'm not going to go out there. And I was probably in an optimal state running at like 40%.
Yeah.
Like always, like I was going hard just to keep up with people's just cruising. You know what I mean? I'd rather not look trash. I'd rather not play. You know what I mean? And I didn't feel like I deserved enough to take someone's spot on the team when I'm like cruising through, just trying to stay alive when people can actually, push.
Make a difference.
Yeah. That's just the type of person. Like I'm not one to drag out bad situations any longer. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to be known as like playing terribly because I had cancer. Like, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't going to use that card. I didn't need that. You know what I mean? So I was confident enough that I could do other things in my life. And I tell people all the time, whether it's kids that I mentor, kids that I've coached, business people, whoever, I say, if my life is this long, football was this.
Yeah.
I said, what I do with the rest? Like, yeah, I'll take some positives and negatives and learn from it, but what I do with the rest that's completely up to me. And that's when I went back to coaching and went back to doing stuff that I was more passionate about and being around people that were very like-minded to myself. And then I wanted to do more for myself. Being a team environment, you don't do that. Your mindset has to change a little bit.
Yeah. Coming
back into stuff you want to do for yourself. And that's not like, oh, I want to just like travel around the world by myself. There was nothing really like that for me. It was more like taking more time to develop myself in other areas than like be stronger, faster, and better at football.
Yeah.
And that is like being a father, being smarter, being, as a holistic approach, more well-rounded as a human being. And then for me, it would just seem like not right if I didn't use the experiences that I had to come back and share with other people, because I've done and been through so many things that it's just like, when I go do these keynotes and I talk all over the place, whether it was like Red Bull, Under Armour, wherever, I would go and speak and I would tell people and dive hard into my story, and I'd be like, oh crap, like, oh yeah, I did do that. Like I forget, because I wasn't living it. Like people don't understand that. Like I was not living it. I was dumped onto a roller coaster and I was hanging on as best as I possibly could until the ride was over. Like I wasn't, people like, oh, you're probably like,
you're like surviving.
Yeah, 100%, man. That people are like, oh, you're probably like enjoying. I'm like, enjoying it. I'm like, man, I was playing national champs, whatever. I was like, man, I might have smiled 6 times my senior year. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wasn't doing no fun. Like, yeah, there was highs and lows, but the highs was still like, you still have the lows in the back of your head, and you still have the next things and
it's like so much responsibility.
Oh, people don't understand, man. People always like, oh, it must be so good to do. Like, no, just rethink what you think it is first. And don't get me wrong, like I wouldn't trade a single thing for the world because the person I am now is shaped by the things that I've done. But I hate it when people come up to me like, oh man, you were probably living like the best life. It was probably like, you know, everyone was driving Ferraris and taking pride. I'm like, you and I got the two different NFLs in mind, I think.
Yeah.
It's a very realistic situation, you know what I mean? So on the flip side of that, which what I do now, and I base a lot of myself around performance and coaching and trying to give back and use my story as a platform to affect positively and negatively. Some people need to hear some real stuff.
Yeah.
I think more people need to hear some of the negatives than they do the positives. And in turn, I get a lot of fulfillment in rehearing my own story, re-diving back into it. I think a big part of being the player that I was and the icon of what people have perceived as me is I had to really become vulnerable as a man or as a human being in my transition, and that's been the toughest part. You know what I mean? When you go from living like everyone say like, oh, you're this big guy, like, oh, you're such a tough dude, or like, oh man, you playing so good. You were just getting so much, and nothing was true. Nothing was true. You know, I think a lot of it was just detailed perceptions of what people thought of me. So the biggest thing now is like being vulnerable.
Do you feel like many people knew you as like a person when you were as an athlete?
No way. I honestly, I don't think, maybe one or two, and my parents barely, because no one was there with me.
Yeah,
like they knew me, but that was like a weekly FaceTime or something like that.
Yeah.
But I like half the stuff I've had to do, no one knows.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And like maybe when I get older and I feel like I'm worthy, I'll write a book and detail some of that stuff down. And I think that a lot of people, they see too much of the outside. And base their decisions on.
Well, we all cultivate. Like it was funny. I was looking at even just I don't use my personal Instagram that much. But what's funny is because I don't use it that much. I'll only post on it when I get like Andy Jackman's in here and he takes like a super fucking dope photo, or you know what I mean. Like I'm literally posting like my fucking coolest shit. Doesn't happen that much. And then I was like looking at it, I'm like, fucking, if you looked at my Instagram, you'd think that I just live like this dope fucking life. But I literally feel like I actually feel disconnected from that person that is like in all those photos, because like that's such fleeting moments, and like you've got to have an amazing photographer with you to like capture this fucking sick, but like day-to-day life, man, my day-to-day, like I don't feel like that dude. So it's like, it's weird. Like it's weird that is normal now to like kind of create this life. And I feel like there almost is like people are more disconnected from themselves even, because it's like there's almost like yourself, your image that you put out into the world, and then the people around you that see that image, and there's some fucking weird space in between, bro.
Man, I think it's what's crazy, especially with social media, is that is such a common story. But like, and I'm speaking from a perspective of seeing like a social media influencer. Like I know for a fact, I know people with millions of followers, and like they're not good people. Yeah. Or they work at just like some random store, or like they do this, but they just like the life they live in. I'm like sitting on Ferraris or doing, I'm like, there ain't no way in hell you got that. I know, you know. I think from my perspective, like with social media, I try and keep it pretty real. Like I don't stun or do anything like that. I post pretty real stuff. But I think what added an extra like realm to it was that I had the media side that was on me. You know what I mean? From the jump, and like what's put out there, it isn't true. I know that because I read the articles. I'm like, oh, that's pretty wild. I don't remember any of that happening. That's cool. Yeah. That's why I don't watch the news or read the paper or anything like that. So it that disconnect is huge, man. And I think it's honestly where like this huge discussion now of, you know, mental health and anxiety and all that sort of stuff like that. I know that's a clinical and a proven thing, but I also think a lot of it comes from that disconnection.
Self-inflicted, yeah.
Oh, it's beyond more than self-inflicted, man. It was like a little pool people dive in every day on their own. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, it is from that vulnerability isn't, you know, like you have to like own up to you being like a loser or something like that. The vulnerability is like fixing some of the things that you either might not be good at, or some things that might need to be improved to help the situation or whatever. I don't think people ought to do that. And I guess that could be a bit of a stigma in itself as well. But I just think a lot of people now is just, there's so much in, and one of the coaches I know, Brett Bartholomew, says it the best. I said, there's so much trying to prove value, not provide value. There's so many people out there so worried about proving it, but the doing it part is so lacking. And I see it so much. People are always like, oh yeah, I do this, and this. I'm like, okay, like if I wanted a resume, you could have just printed it out, man. Like I didn't need to read all that. But when you actually see what these people are doing, it's nothing. You know what I mean? So I think that huge disconnect in itself is, and I see it so much, it drives me insane, man. I'm just like, not only because I get not no appreciation, but very little appreciation for the things I've done. And then I see other people and I'm like, who is this? Like, why is this dude like this? You know what I mean? Like, I try not to act like, I don't act like I'm better or, well, I am physically bigger than some people, but I'm not bigger than anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I still just live a normal life, man. Like I still buy groceries from Woolworths. Like I still have to pay bills and do other stuff. You know, people just don't understand. People just think as soon as they see you on like the front of the paper, they just think, man, untouchable. It's this. It's weird how very opposite. Works. Yeah.
It's fucking crazy on my end because like I've never been any fucking anything. And then over the last like nearly 2 years with this podcast, it's like I get fucking 50, 60 messages a day from people I don't know. And then I get probably another 50 or 60 messages from people that have messaged before that I do like know now because of that shit. And it's just like this constant flood. And it's like, I'll be fucking having a shit when I'm, you know what I mean? Like, and someone's like, bro, this is so rad. And like, this helped me. And I really, and I'm like super fucking grateful. But I try so hard to like constantly stress to people that I am fucking not better than anybody, and I don't think I'm better. I'm literally replying while I'm having a shit, like like everybody else. You know what I mean? And it's like it's fuck yeah, it is. It's super weird,
and that's providing value. Yeah, you know what I mean. That's not proving value. Like you're not putting out posts about what's coming next, or you got this cool thing that's like you're just doing it. Yeah, just do it. I tell people all the time, the most intelligent thing to do is action. You know, most people, all the issues that people got is you wait around too long. Dude. I see that in Australia so much. I'm like, all the time we just did talking about, you know how many times people want to sell the world to me? Yeah, I bet. Oh, we want you to do this, this, and this. We got this awesome. I'm like, okay, man, cool. Like, where is it then? You know, show me, please. Come in. If something so powerful and it's going to blow me away and it's going to like pull me out of my shell, I'll come and see you right now. We'll come and do it right now. You know, like we can go to the bank. We can literally go do whatever you want right now. And people will be like, oh, yeah, no, that's not sort of what I meant. It's like, you're probably like 4 months ahead. I'm like, oh, so there's a different story then. Already. Yeah. But it's very common in with the social media and all that sort of stuff now. And that disconnect is, it's different sort of beast compared to what I had to deal with. But it's something I see a lot now and with athletes and stuff like that getting tangled in it. And I'm just glad I remember when Instagram first came out when I was in college. I'm like, oh, what is this? You know what I mean? And because I like photography, I was like, oh, I guess I'll just post some pictures of my shoes I got on or something. You know what I mean? Now it's like a little bit business and it's like a life. Bro. It's like what Bill Gates said about internet. He said, if your business don't have social media, you don't have a business. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is. You know, so much branches from that. Like, would we even have podcasts if we didn't have social media?
I'm fucking like extremely thankful for Instagram, and well, especially Instagram's like the main thing that I use for the podcast. But like, I never, and I've said it on here before, like I've never like looked at it. I definitely get fucked with the thirst traps though. Like I find myself, I'm like, fuck, what are you doing? Stop scrolling this bitch. Fuck this.
Honestly, I think it's played such a big role in relationships. Purely from I always think about it. I'm like, not only my parents, my grandparents, I'm like, if you lived in a small town and there was like one girl there you liked or whatever, you'd never think that maybe 14 towns away, if I drive 37 miles, there's another girl that might be the same. Yeah. Now you can be like, dudes be like, okay, all these girls look exactly the same. They're scattered over all these areas. You know what I mean? Like it's like a numbers game.
The same fucking filters and shit.
Everyone looks the same. Like I go to, no offense to Culture Kings because I know them, but I'm like, I go to the mall, I see people like, they look like they popped out of Instagram. It's like a catalog. I'm like, you look like 17 other people I've walked past already today. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The trends are so hard, especially like Gold Coast, Brisbane, anything to do with like influencing, which I don't know who, like really what they're, what, like I want to be an influence.
Yeah.
I don't want to be an influencer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I got nothing to sell you. You know, maybe some inspiration. That's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild, man. I see some of it and I just, well, even in the performance area, I see a lot of it. And
yeah,
you know, everyone's trying to fix everybody. Everyone's like a professional at something. Everyone's a wellness coach. Like I'm like, okay, what have you been through, man? Like tried and tested. Like what have you done? Like, I'm not like, if you got a degree or your PhD or master's, I'm like, all right, cool. Like, yeah, you're just starting then. But like, what sort of like, what are we offering here, you know? But it's wild, man. Like from a photography side, it's awesome. I love it. The inspiration's outrageous. But I think from a life side, especially in young kids, it skews what people think is success.
Man. It's crazy too. Like the thing that it's, especially with chicks, like the thing, because like I've been with my chick for fucking years. Like we're good. And she's a hot chick, but she doesn't post like hot chick stuff. And I literally was like looking at a chick the other day and I'm like scrolling and I'm like, is my chick not hot because she doesn't post this kind of, you know what I mean?
But you know what's crazy?
This chick is just straight, it's fucking Tuesday and she's just on the beach in Burleigh and she's fucking killing it. But it's like, I just started thinking of like the psychology of like posting that. Like, why are you posting that picture?
Honestly,
like,
today's
weird.
currency is like, affirmations or confirmation.
Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
Attention is the major currency. Like it goes attention, gold bullion, then like euro, and then something else. You know what I'm saying? But attention is
stocks
at the peak. You know, above all. And I see some of it, and I like. You go to the explore page, and you're like, whoa. I'm like, but it's the worst part about it is like I see some of it, and it's so like revealing and stuff like that. I'm like, wow. I'm like, like. This sounds so old, but I'm like, oh, but what is this girl's like personality like? Like, not like, do you like long walks on the beach? More like, what in your brain happened that you thought that was cool to post that?
Yeah,
like I'm seeing everything. Like. I'm like, you can't even look at Instagram in public anymore. You're like, whoa, that wasn't me. Like, I don't follow that person. Who is this? You know, like,
for sure.
Because I get in trouble always seeing Shock Mansion stuff.
Yeah,
you go on there, I'm like, oh man, I'm like. What the hell? I'm like, I'm just
I do
trying
that
to
shit, but like Ricky will look at my phone all the time and she'll be like, I'll be like on Instagram, I'm scrolling it, it's fucking Shock Mansion or it's like the Mad Hueys or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, I just fully had that thought the other day of like, why would you like, so this chick I'm talking about has like 20,000 followers, but she doesn't do any, like there's nothing like, she's not selling anything. She's just hot as fuck with 20,000 dudes think she's super hot. No. And she is. But I'm just like, what are you posting it for? Like, and it's the same. And then like you follow her for a bit and now I see shit where I'm like, oh, she posted that like 3 weeks ago.
Oh.
And I'm like in it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. She's doing that. And I'm like, oh, she's not doing any of this shit. Like, this is just this constant like content. But it's like, but what is the end game? Like, what are you doing it for? I don't.
What's the
like?
reason?
I know that like my personal Instagram, I don't really use, but it's like family and friends and like people in America, and it's like I'll try and like post shit that I'm doing, but it's like I'm just not posting something every day to like post something. And then the podcast, I'm like posting shit about the podcast, and it's fucking awesome for that. But I just like lately I've been really like paying attention to like, you have no reason to be posting this fucking reposted photo that you did like 3 weeks ago.
Man, I love seeing the memes that come out now that like all the employment offices getting smashed, all the Instagram people now that likes aren't, you know, like now they hide the likes or whatever.
Yeah.
Man,
you know what
crazy.
pisses me off about that though is that the thing, like, so I've like never bought followers and shit. So it's like we got nearly 10,000 followers, and it's like you can see we get X amount of views on our videos, X amount of likes. So it's like there's a ratio there to where it's like quite obvious that I've never bought followers. And then now that doesn't mean anything. So it's like, well, I'll just go and jack up my fucking followers. No one can see, because like that's something that I like as a business owner and as like
I think through
an audience. Like I want to like respect the people that like look at our shit, you know?
Yeah. No, I think from a business standpoint, but I think just from people that, like I just didn't know how half these people was like living. Like I would see them like, like surely the influx of Australian people to Bali has to have multiplied exponentially. Dude. Like the Balinese government's probably just like pumping their own hashtags trying to get Australians to go there. I'm like, I've never been there. I have nothing against it. It looks a little too not clean for me, but I just see it. I'm like, it's just purely based off social media stuff.
It's crazy.
I'm like, I just don't know. I see a lot of people do it. And I see a lot of people do it for different reasons, but I'm the same as you. I'm like, okay, so hypothetically, Instagram, you're killing it. You do it for 10 years. Like, what do you do? Like, I'm like, should you start like your own clothing? Like,
that's the thing.
Do you open an Instagram store? Like, what is the? If you're looking at progression of life here, like, do you just go bang, 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 and then there's a huge cliff after Instagram, or
you're fucking right?
Do you move that into LinkedIn, or like, hey, LinkedIn's popping though, low key. LinkedIn's on the way up.
Yeah,
I'm on there and I get like people commenting on my stuff, like wearing suits and stuff. I feel way better.
I should like do LinkedIn. It's probably like a good way to fucking get. Do you pay for it? Like you do the subscription one?
I don't. No.
Because
I don't know.
I don't think you can do much on LinkedIn unless you pay for it though, right?
No, I think it's like legit. I can still post stuff and see other people's stuff, but you can't always see who, because you can see who's looking at your page.
Yeah.
If that was on Instagram, you know how many relationships would be gone, but how many weird people you'd be like not be able to make eye contact with anymore. Like it was just like when I was on LinkedIn, I'm like, people would look at them like, why they didn't post anything or do anything?
Yeah.
They just looked at them like, that's mad creepy. So you just seen me in a room, walked by, stared at me for 5 minutes, and then left. I'm like, okay, you're
easy
weird.
Just to say hello, bro.
I don't have Snapchat. I use Twitter. I like Twitter.
Yeah, see, that's super American.
More informative though.
Yeah.
It hits way quicker than Instagram. And you don't get the clutter of like half naked pics.
Yeah. Well, you know what's crazy, dude, is the Sando, the last bloke that was on here, he was saying that every fourth post on Instagram is sponsored.
Really?
You've never even noticed it, and I never even noticed
I don't look. Honestly, I don't.
Bro, it's gonna fucking blow your mind now. Now, when you scroll Instagram, literally count 1, 2, 3, 4.
Like lies.
1,
lies.
2. It's fucking so like sneaky too. They got the tiny little sponsored thing on there, but like he said that, and I was like, he's fucking right. Yeah. I thought he was crazy, dude. That's one. I knew it was a lot. Posts.
I knew it was a lot.
1 in fucking 5.
Even if you go to because I just go to the main, you know, it has all the other pictures and stuff, like the feed of random people I don't follow.
The Explore one.
Yeah, the Explore. Yeah. So I just go through that and I would like see, because I mean I just follow like heaps of strength conditioning stuff, weightlifting, heaps of golf stuff, like heaps of photography stuff. So I'm like looking around like, oh, here's some Tiger stuff, or depending on what I feel like. So I hardly ever really just like, because I don't follow a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm hardly ever just like, oh, what is my brother doing? Like, what is my mom doing? You know what I mean?
I call it the fucking scroll hole. Like, you just get caught in it, and then you just like...
Well, how many times do you go and you're like, how did I get to this person?
Yeah.
Like, and then I go back and I'm like, whoa.
You're like lost in it now. I'm like,
no, I'm done. Throw my phone away.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
For real. It's such
well, I used to have 2 phones, one for the US ones, and I'm like, I'm losing my mind.
So what do you have the 2 for?
One for the US, one for here. When I was going back and forth. And I was like, nah, this is... Same with social media. Like, because social media is like, you know how we said you're painting a picture of yourself with your own thinking or whatever. This can be created by like in any direction, way, shape or form, right? So like I feel that because everyone knows me as the Monstar, and I hate that, man. Like I made that the name when I was a junior in college because ESPN wrote an article about it. Yeah. So I was like, man, I can't shake it, man. Like people yell, like, oh, it's the Monstar. I'm like, yeah, my name's Jesse, man. Cool, thanks. You know, but like, I feel like if I post anything business-wise or like motivational or anything like that on the Monstar page, people are like, oh man, like just post a picture of you being big and strong. Like I feel that's all people. If I post a football picture, it goes through the roof. But if I post something about some sort of being an activist or standing up for something, people are like, oh man, like
stay in your lane.
Yeah,
bro.
you're like, nah, son. Like,
well, it's crazy. Like we have a thing with that where it's like if you've reached a fucking peak at something, it's like, all right, you're done, dude. Just fucking be that guy. Don't try and be like
sit at home. Let someone else do something.
Yeah, like don't try to be woke, bro. You're the you're the football dude. But I think that it's just It's part of society where we don't like people that it's like once you've been really good at something, it's like we don't want you to be really good at something else. It's like you've already you've overachieved.
The one thing that annoys me is so much different between, I talk about it so much with some of the other business people that I know that go back and forth to the US. It's so different. And he says it the best. He has a story of, and he owns a lot of stuff, and he was driving his Bentley in Brisbane or whatever, and it's a completely different outlook and perception than if you drive your Bentley in the US, anywhere in the US. He said, if I'm in Brisbane, he said, people will try and cut you down right away. He said, people throw stuff at his Bentley, like people try and scratch his Bentley up for no reason. But in the US, it's like, if I see someone with like a better car than me, I'll be like, yo, that's a nice car. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you do it? You know what I mean? Like, it's just a very different way of thinking, and it breaches into so much other stuff. Like,
you're so right.
No one wants to help. Everyone's like, oh, we're just about helping the community. No, you're not. You're trying to cover helping yourself up with this reasoning.
Yeah.
Over in the US, if you ain't hurting nobody, people are just like, yeah, man, do whatever. Like, I'll try and help. But that's where they actually collaborate.
Yeah.
Here, people want like either a serious partnership, as in like you drag them along even if they didn't do anything, or they just want to be like the reason you're doing well. I'm like, because I get that so much. Like, if we do business stuff and like people want to be like, oh yeah, no, I'll do it with you, and we'll do. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, slow down, man. I'm like, I'm trying to do this. I'm like, how did you jump on this right away? Like, it's my thing.
Yeah.
That's what I miss about the US. Like, I would go to places, whether it's like, if I would go and I would chop it up, or I would go to the barbershop, or I go talk to people, a bunch of guys, I'd be like, yeah, man, like, think about doing this. There's people like, yo, that's cool. Like, yeah, you should do that. Here, people will come out with, first thing they'll say is like, oh, nah, that's because of this. I'm like, it's just a completely opposite, I guess, the way it's like absorbed. And that's what I see so much when I tell people, even if it's like strength conditioning stuff, I'll be like, oh, but in the US, everyone's like, oh, that's the US though. I'm like, yeah, but we're all human beings. I'm like, it's proven to work. You know what I mean? And that's what annoys me like so much, is just people's stagnant thinking. Yeah. Compared to like,
but that breeds opportunity though,
Well, people just don't get it as well. And I see it as in like hyperpopulation equals hyper competitiveness. If it's do or die, if you live do or die for a long period of time, like, I'll give you a heads up, you're going to come out on the other end a dog.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
If you're out here cruising, like I tell it to kids all the time, if you go and do a trade, something like that, you can still, in 2 years, I'm going to go, if you're good enough, go play in the NRL. And then if you're in the NRL, it's whatever, I'm just going to go be a trade. And you can still live and make a lot of money. Yeah. In the US, that's not available. Yeah. If you're here and then try and go to the NFL, okay, that's impossible from there. If you go to here, it doesn't work. You have to go back to your hometown or try and use your degree to branch into something else or do this and do this. It's very tough. You know what I mean? So it's just a very, I don't know, it's an annoying difference. And that's the one I see the most, because I'm obviously transitioning from professional sports into whether it's business or like any sort of work really. And it's just a mindset of like, if you want this, you have to do these things. Yeah. You know what I mean? People don't get it. I'm like, I'm trying to help you here. You know what I mean? Like, just go this way. People still, they call it tradition, but it's, I think it's a narrow way of thinking. Yeah. You know what I mean? I see it so much. And that's what I just like, I don't like calling it like it's the Aussie way, because I don't think it is. It's just a very, well, one of my business guys says the best. He says, too much Australians are worried about income, not outcome. In the US, it's about outcome. If I'm really good at what I do, a byproduct is a good income. Money. Yeah. But if you chase this income real hard, the outcome, it ain't going to be good.
Well, I think that there's just a certain level of like, you should be what you should be chasing is like fulfillment. Like, because if you are fulfilled by
you're
something,
getting too woke now. Yeah. You sound like an inspirational page on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm gonna post this shit too. But that's like really what you should do. Like this fucking process of this podcast is like super fucking hard to keep on the tracks. Like, it's not cheap. Like, granted, it's not fucking cheap to live in Burleigh and like have the studio and shit here. That's fair enough. But like when I moved back from America, I lived at my parents' house for 2 years. I was fucking 28 and 29 years old, living with my girlfriend at my fucking parents' house. Like, it's like sacrifice. Like, there's no, and like, you're not chasing income at that point. You know what I mean? Like, you're chasing the outcome. It's a fucking really good way to look at it. And like, I just was like, this is like a super fulfilling way to make a living. And I was confused when I come back from America. I didn't want to just jump straight back into what I'd been doing. I was pretty burnt out of like how hard I was chasing the film stuff over there. It's a way smaller fucking pie over here. So it's like, I was, left with like that choice. Like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? This thing come up and it was like, it's super fulfilling. Like, I fucking love doing this. Like, me and you are going to be fucking homies forever now because of like sitting down and talking for fucking 3 hours straight. It's like, it's a fucking cool experience, but it's like so much stuff has to get sacrificed to just keep it on the fucking, on the tracks,
I try and tell people, it's like, it takes what it takes. You know what I mean? People always like, oh, I want this. I was like, well, you have to be willing to give up everything.
Yeah.
You remember how many friends and stuff I lost when I was trying to play football? Every one of them.
Yeah, because you can't, like, there's no room.
It gets heavy. It's a long walk, man. The more baggage you got, the harder it is. But with a lot of stuff like that, with work and I think people's lives, I think they will just through the motions. Like the biggest thing with being good at football is having intent to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Like if it's your job, be the best at it. You know what I mean? If you're going to be a cleaner on the street, be the best cleaner on the street. You want people to walk by and be like, whoa, that dude is literally the best cleaner on the street. Yeah. If people had that attitude, 15% of that attitude, they would go out there and they would crush their lives. But right now they don't. Like they're too worried about comparing themselves to some dude on Instagram that's like an entrepreneur that's flying around in jets. Like they're like looking at Gary V's stuff like, man, why didn't I even think of Google? I'm like, because you probably were like 12. And they're too worried about what they think they could do, not what they should be doing right now. Like I try and tell people, you can't change the world. You can change your world around them, and hopefully that can influence the rest. Yeah. I said too many people are looking in the wrong areas. You know, what I mean?
The thing too is like, I was literally talking to my girlfriend about this last night. Like, jiu-jitsu's been a huge thing for me in my life. Like, I've never choked any cunt in the fucking street. I've never, you know what I mean? I've never had to use it.
It's a great feeling.
But I've never had to use it for self-defense. Like, I've gone and done competitions. I've won fucking competitions. Like, I know it works, but it's like, that's not the reason for doing it. Like, when there's so much value, and this can be in anything, bro. This can be if you get really good at golf. It can be if you get really good at fucking, putting money in like the stock market. Like all of this shit is like, pick a thing that you can do every single day and just become fucking super good at it. And then you'll find that like, cause that's where I'm at with jiu-jitsu right now. And like, I've never really done anything in my life where I've like every day, rain, hail or shine, tired, sore, pissed off, broke, depressed, happy, sad, like you just go. And then you go and you try to do it at a really fucking high level. And then it's like you get on a roll and then all of a sudden other things in your life, you're like, oh, I'm like eating good now. Because it's like, it becomes this like necessity of like that focus of I'm going to get good at jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, now I'm eating good. Fuck, I actually have a six pack now. Yeah. Oh, I've never had that in my whole life. It was always the thing, I'd love to look good one day. Oh, I'm fucking starting to get muscly. Oh, my fitness is crazy. Now I can go and do this. And like, that shit seems easy. Yeah. And it's like, I've got a bit of fucking confidence from this. Like, I'm going to go do this. It's like, there's a follow-on effect that happens in your life. And that's why someone like you, dude, you dedicated your whole fucking life to being like insanely good at one thing. And it's like, look at the follow-on effect that has in the rest of your life. And people need to understand that. Like, one of my buddies in America, he just started like, he got obsessed with the stock market as I did with jiu-jitsu. He like read everything. All he did was watch Bloomberg. Cunt had no idea about the stock market at all before he started. But he wasn't in there like looking at, trolling Warren Buffett's Instagram, being like, fuck man, I wish I was that guy. Yeah. Like, he just started at the bottom and just like slowly just become like an expert. And there's just a thing that happens, like when you become an expert at one thing, everything in your fucking life gets better. And it's like, it's not a secret. Nah. Like, that shit's out there.
Well, you said it best, man. You said the word exactly what I was going to say. It's obsessed. Like, you have to be obsessed.
Yeah.
Like when I tell people about stuff I did or I want to do, like, that shit wakes me up in the morning before my alarm. I roll over and watch my alarm go off, and it keeps me up at night. You know what I mean? If you don't have those things in your life, like I talk about all the time, if your whys are not strong enough, man, you're going to stand up and get knocked back down every day. every day. You know what I mean? You got to have those things. If it's not your family or stuff like that, I talk to people all the time, like about adversity or handling adversity, and you know the situations that I've been in, highs and lows. I think adversity for me is like a dark room. I try and tell people, and it's a room that you're going to go down there once or twice in your life, and it might be consistent, it might be sporadic, but you're going to go down there multiple times. So I said, you better get comfortable with being uncomfortable and being comfortable in that dark room. And it's only dark because of the things you put in there. But I said, once you're down there and you get comfortable and you have those things that need to bring you back out of that, you need to get those little lights in your life that are not going to burn out. You know what I mean? And for some people like myself, it's like my family, my son, you know what I mean? It could be my work. It could be, at the time, was football or photography or some sort of passions. You need to have those things that have the power to light up that dark room and like wake you up early in the morning and keep you up and keep you sort of that fire underneath your butt. Because a lot of people don't have that, man. Like, people can't get obsessed in it. And if they do, they get obsessed with the wrong thing.
Exactly, dude. Like, there's so much shit that you can get obsessed with. That is
too easy
like,
now.
It's fucking wanderlust, bro. Yeah. Like, you know the amount.
Oh, like, it's the worst, man.
Fuck, bro. Like, there was like a point recently where like shit's just been hard this year. Like, it's just been a fucking gnarly year. Like, we're trying to do that studio, fucking don't have that much money, putting so much effort into the jiu-jitsu side of things. That's taken away. It's fucking hard. And bro, I found myself like just getting in that little wanderlust mindset. Whenever I had downtime, I was just like thinking about like what I would do if I had $1 million, and like I'd go and I'd buy this, and I found myself, and I was like, whoa, pump the fucking brakes, homie. That is poison. That is a fucking prison. And I know so many people that like, they'll be like, oh, fuck, man, if you had like $1 million right now, what would you do? And I just want to fucking backhand that person like off their seat, because like,
you just choke them out.
That is the most poisonous mindset you can have, of like living in that wanderlust. And I think that's
that shit's like the movie Inception, bro.
Yeah, dude.
You get stuck down there and
fucking
5 minutes there is 6 hours up here,
dude. You know what I'm saying? For real.
Hey, I know hell people do that. Like, oh man, imagine if I was big, and imagine like make it happen, man.
Yeah, you
like,
can do that shit.
I know some, like, the craziest thing that blows me away, two things is the internet is there, exponential availability of information, and people find stupid stuff. They couldn't find all the inspirational stuff that was there, as well as people have this attitude of like, oh, I don't care what people think. I'm like, well, that's wrong. I said, the hard part in life is figuring out which people to care about. If 20
people think you're a fuckhead, you're probably a fuckhead.
Yeah. But I'm saying people
like, you should use that as a tool.
Yeah, well, people need to focus on who they care thinks about them.
Yeah.
People are so worried about what people on Instagram think, they probably don't even know what their family thinks about them.
Yeah, true.
Or people are so worried about, all my work friends think I'm cool, but your kids hate you. You know what I mean? So a lot of it is, it's just focusing on what you need to focus on. You know, it takes what it takes, and people just don't realize that it takes. Gary Vee says it the best. He said, it always takes longer than you think, and it always costs more than you think.
Yeah, fucking
It's not about money. It was sacrifice. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? People are like, oh, you know, if I do this here, I'll figure it out and make it. Like, yeah, times that by 2, and then we might be halfway there.
Yeah.
You know, people just, the big thing with a lot of people is they quit too early. You know, it's that meme of like people, you know, mining, and they're like, the diamonds are like the 1 inch away from where they quit it. So like, that's exactly how it is, man.
Fucking oath it is, for sure.
Like, you know how many times I've seen people, I'm just like, man, if you just stuck it out for literally like a whole nother week, like, look what you could have done.
The
like,
craziest saying, the jiu-jitsu saying that I just, as like, that fucking blew my mind, is every black belt is a white belt that never quit.
Hundo, yeah.
That's life, bro. Every stock market guy, every fucking Wall Street guy, every NFL player, every fucking basketball, everyone that's ever lived, like Tiger Woods is just that fucking dude that never quit.
Yeah, man, he's had plenty of opportunities to quit too.
Everyone gets opportunities to quit.
Man, you know what's crazy? What would the world be like if no one gave up on their dreams?
It'd be so different.
I'd be scared to see how many social influences there would be, but there would still be a lot of other good things as well. I mean, I see, that was the biggest thing with me when I was growing up. You see all these movies of like, you know, the guy that play football and then doesn't make it, and then tries something else and doesn't make it, and all that stuff like that. I was just like, I never wanted to be that. I never wanted to quit. Like, even when I was at the lowest lows of almost quitting football because I was just pushed to the edge of everything, I was like, the edge of this is better than the edge of 99% of everything else.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that like, you're going to have to sit in that uncomfortable position. That's the room I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I said, if you're not uncomfortable being uncomfortable, you shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because all these people that they're probably watching or seeing, I guarantee they're uncomfortable just as much as they are. It might not be the same relativity, but it's there.
Yeah.
People like I'd always bring back people saying, "Oh man, you probably lived such a nice life, and it's probably like so much cooler now. Everyone playing the NFL." I'm like, no. Like, I also have to deal with most likely CTE, the constant inflammation that's in my body, one kidney, the surgeries I had on my knees, like the trauma of all the stuff I had to getting almost hit by a car every single day, multiple times over and over again. You know what I mean? I'm just like, yeah, but I guess I had some fun as well. You know what I mean? But that's my perspective. It might seem a bit more harsh than other people's ones, but I think people just need to like tighten it down. A lot of the things I see, especially with young kids and stuff like that, because of the platform of social media and like that skewed success is so outrageous, man. I see kids, I'm just like, you know, I want to do this, and I'm like, yeah, it's awesome to have dreams, but like, yo, there's a realistic side of you are nowhere near where that is right now. There's a path to get there.
Yeah, this is what you got to do.
But you have to realize, like, you know how many messages on Instagram I get of these kids like, man, I want to do exactly what you did. I want to JUCO and you know, earn my way and get over there and do this. And I'm like, man, if I told you or your parents what you had to do or what I had to do to make it, you wouldn't go. I know that. You know what I mean? Because I've seen, I went over there and played. There's probably been 100 kids that have gone over and tried since then. But we don't hear about them. No. You know what I mean? Because they go over and they get scared, or they do it tough one semester, or the coach yells at them too much, or, you know, they go over and they don't like the place and they come back. You know what I mean? And that's exactly the situation. If you can't stick it out, you don't want it, man. That's the biggest thing. If you don't want it, that's fine. But don't tell people. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I hate the most. Like, don't tell me you're going to do it. Just go and do it. Yeah. Like, I'm just beyond blessed that Instagram wasn't there when I was coming up. Yeah. Because that would have skewed my perception like it does for most kids hard, because it's hard to differentiate from who's real and who's not if you're a young kid.
Even down to like, motherfuckers be getting in ice bars every day. How many ice bars? You know what I mean? It's like the mental commitment it even takes to just get in an ice bath is like fucking heavy. And then you would have seen dudes, you know, like fucking Bobby Wagner, like that dude's probably the most savage motherfucker ever. And he's just like, what have I got to do? Yep, done. Yeah. Sits in the ice bath. How long for? Done. Gets out. Doesn't even phase him. And then you get a guy like me, I'm like fucking, you know what I mean?
Hypothermia,
like, hypothermia, just, yeah. And it's like, like some people, that there's just this crazy fucking drive that anyone that's successful, like whatever their thing is like all the shit that scares away normal people doesn't even phase them.
Yes. And those are once in a lifetime people, man. Like, honestly, you're going to have those fears. You're going to have all those problems and stuff like that. But the people that go through it, man, and you can tell them apart, man. Like, I've been lucky enough to be in a few places where I'm like, yo, that dude's got it, man. Real. Like in the US especially, real is the biggest thing. That's the big thing with me. Like, a lot of the brands and stuff that I do, like everything is based around being real. And you see that pretty soon when I meet people. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's not worth doing that. You know what I mean? I've seen you 10 times already in my life. Like, I'm not trying to see the 11th. You know what I mean? When whenever I do stuff with people, like, there's 3 things that I think played a huge role in why I was successful in what I did, but also why people and businesses don't really do well. And the first one is integrity. The second one is attention to detail. And the third one is sense of urgency. And I tell people that all the time. They're like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, well, integrity is, if I say I'm going to do something, if I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. No matter what. I'm going to be sick to my stomach if you don't know I'm not going to be there. You know what I mean? That was like today. I said we're going to be here at 10. And then I said, no, maybe 9:30. And then I get up here at 9:15. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, I'm not going to leave you hanging, dog. Yeah. That is not the person I'm going to be perceived at in any way, shape, or form. And then attention to detail, I think that's helped me the most. And that's a Nick Saban thing. And that's focusing on things that other people won't focus on. You know what I mean? Like, everyone can do hard work, but it's the smart work that fills the gaps. People don't understand that. Like, it's awesome to train, but there's 18 other things to take into your thoughts on what's going to take to get to the next level. Whether it's a diet, your recovery. Do you have a championship mentality to taking care of yourself? Do you have a championship mentality to studying and doing that sort of stuff whilst playing football, and like going from ESPN to then sitting in an English class and then winning a national championship and then go doing an exam the next day? It's about focusing on those little things. I tell people all the time, so even the Great Wall of China was built with lots of little bricks. They didn't just have this huge one brick that was the size of the Great Wall of China.
Special
and
motherfucker
that
just
plopped down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Uluru would be the biggest one.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's pretty rare.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people skip that so hard. And I tell people that's in every way, shape, or form. Like, I tell people, if you just go and focus on the small things that you can grasp with your eyes, because your eyes wouldn't be trained to seeing it yet. If it's where your relationship, and that's either listening, not just hearing the sounds, absorbing it, or like doing the small things, you'll see how unbelievably, I don't know if you got Aubrey Marcus.
Yeah.
Own the Day, the book.
I haven't read it. Is it good?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, I've read it a few times. There's lots of cool little things in it, but that ideology is very similar. And it's like almost like the book, The Obstacle is the Way as well. Like, it's like dominoes.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, oh, you can't, one tiny thing can't move a mountain, but you know, it's the build up of all those dominoes to a mountain-sized domino.
What do they say? It's not the power of the river that shapes the mountain, but it's the consistency.
The consistency and continuity of the water can shape anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's how they turn sharp rocks into like soft, like round rocks. You know. So that's attention to detail.
But it's not sexy to just go like, hey man,
it's costly.
You got to do this every fucking day.
It's costly. People don't want it. It's costly and it gets boring. That's what people don't understand. It's always going to be that. You're not going to be out there posting you going for a 5K walk to make weight on Instagram and tag like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's it going to get, you know? And you're not going to post when you're overweight, not feeling all that sort of stuff like now. You want to post when you're looking good or you feel good and all that stuff. And then sense of urgency is big for me. I had a realistic slap in the face of that because I know, well, the time is ticking. Like it's as soon as you open your eyes and you start screaming, someone's like,
go time.
Click, like you won. And you don't know when it's the next person's clicking. So you're going to make the most of it. And I see a lot of that now to this day. A lot of people are like, oh no, I'm just going to, chill for a little bit. And I'm like, you wasted it already.
Well, that's what was cool with this. Like, I was going to like sort of waiting to get you on for the new studio. And then you hit me up and you're like, hey, let's fucking do it, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, we're on. Like, you do have that legit sense of urgency.
Like, man, I tell people all the time, I'm like, yeah, man, are you free? And they're like, oh, when? I'm like,
fucking now, bro.
Like now, dude. Yeah. Like I called my boy yesterday. I'm like, are you free tomorrow? He's like, oh, maybe next week. But no, I said tomorrow. He's like, yeah, I got time at 3. He's like, can you make it? I said, yeah, I'll be there too.
Yeah. That's as soon as you text me that and you're like, you want to do this shit? I was like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Because I like that shit, man. Yeah. Like, because you do get a lot of people that will be like, oh, we should do it here and there. I was like, all right, cool. You just fucking let me know.
Well, I just hate the other end of that stick of that exact situation. People are like, man, let's catch up. I'm like, sure, listen, you want to go right now?
Yeah.
I'm pretty hungry. Like, oh, no, I got this. I'm like, don't tell me that shit, man. Like, hey, text me when you want to catch up, man. Like, I don't need the anticipation that something might happen. Like, I got other stuff to worry about.
I'd just rather like get busy fucking doing shit.
I just tell people, like, if I can do it right now, like, yeah, let's do it.
Do it.
You know what I mean? Like, if I don't have time, well, then the next available time, I'll make it happen. Like, but those 3 things, whether it's business, your relationship, life, if you don't have those 3 things, if you just got 2, you got attention to detail, sense of urgency, you could still be losing the integrity. You know what I mean? But it won't be as good as you got 3. If you got integrity and attention to detail, that sense of urgency might be taking too long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you just have 1, it ain't enough. You need those 3, I think, to be not successful. Well, to be successful, but in the ways that I think. Yeah, I think for me, that's a bit more like inner success, like as in like overall well-being of like, okay, I'm a pretty good person. I take care of a lot of things. I keep things in mind. I try and do stuff as best I can, knowing that my time is going to be up soon. And I do it with good integrity for the right reasons, to the right people, with the right people.
Yeah.
You can't really go too much wrong than that. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't really be a drug dealer because you of that. You know what I mean? You can have attention to detail and sense of urgency now. Yeah. I know a lot of people with that, but then you're missing that, you know? So it's those I try and live by the most. And, you know, I don't really go out there and be like, man, you got to outwork people and all that sort of stuff, because I did that. And I know there's better ways to do it now, you know, so I would never preach some 1990s way of doing stuff. It works, but there's an effective way now. You know what I mean? Like when I tell my son, when he's 18, I'll be like, yeah, you have to work hard, but you have to be smart, and it has to be in the right direction for the right reasons with the right intent. If someone said that to me, I'd be like, whoa, okay. When I was 16, I'm like, oh, that might have changed a little bit. You know what I mean? It might shape a little bit, but I learned trial by fire. You know, I got the scars to show, so you got to pass it on. I just think those are heavy, man. Like if people dive into those three and realize that, like, hey, be a good person. You know, I tell people all the time, don't matter what the hell you get, how much money you got. If you ain't got this, you know, good. Yeah. Attention to detail. Focus on all the other things in your life. It might be good and bad. You know, you might be focusing on all the big good things and not being that happy. You should focus on some of the small things you gradually do and win over the day. And then sense of urgency. If you don't wake up with fire under your ass, like you're going to die tomorrow, or today is the last day that you have opportunity to bless planet Earth with something you got, you're wrong. Because I know plenty of people that aren't here anymore that would have wanted to do that.
Just one extra day.
Man, I tell people all the time, like, now I've been in plenty of situations, like I've almost jacked my neck up playing football. I've been in hellish surgeries, done a bunch of different stuff. Like, I've been to the point where it's like, yeah, you might die.
This could be it.
So you get real quick. You just like, when you do that, whenever I was thinking of like what would happen, the situations, like I said, because I'm a very thinking person, I never really thought like what car I was driving, what sort of house and stuff I was living in.
Yeah, it didn't matter at that
what sort
point,
of stuff I was doing. All I could remember was like what people were doing, who was there, you know, like what sort of cool stuff that I could have done. You know what I mean? I think that it's super cliche, but all those cliches come from people saying it over and over again because it's right.
Super smart motherfuckers.
You know what I'm saying? Like old, you know, philosophers from, you know, when they were wearing beach towels and stuff around, you know, with long hair and stuff. And I think it just means so much more now than ever before, because people have lost track of everything and they've created all these other different mantras and diets and like ways to live and stuff like that, but there's only like a few that
like
we can go.
So much like distraction now.
That's all it is, a distraction.
And it's like you said, I love what you said about like the currency is attention. Like it's fucking so true, dude.
I guarantee, man. I talk to some of these people and they would rather, if I was like, oh, get a million followers or like this money right now, they would take that right away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because they just think it's not only worth more, but they can like drag it out into something else. But it's just like, I don't think it has what it takes. You know what I'm saying? Like not in a, it's just, I don't know. Instagram is such a wild beast, man. Like it can really honestly have the power to make or break.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Not so much your life, but your mental well-being. Like sometimes I go on there and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I follow pretty strategic people, like a lot of entrepreneur people, mainly for thinking, and like I only follow people I want to be affected by.
Yeah.
I don't follow you because you look good. Like I can go anywhere and see that. Like it's the internet.
Yeah.
I want to see some stuff that might actually open my eyes to like something. Or like I hear some stuff, whether it's like, you know, Andy Frisella, a few other entrepreneur guys I follow, Lewis Howes, who's an ex-NFL as well. I would hear some stuff and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then I might listen to a 1 hour podcast and I might get that 2 minutes of like, yo, that got me today for this and this and this. You know what I mean?
That's what's crazy with podcasts is like, and I noticed that when I'll post something and like something that I've said or something that a guest said that is kind of like benign to me, like it doesn't really, you know, I'm like, I knew that. Yeah. But to somebody, it's like when they're hearing that for the first time or they're in the place in their life where they need to hear that exact thing at that exact time, and it can just fucking completely floor you. Like it's so crazy how like powerful that can be.
Oh, 100%, man. That's why dudes like Tony Robbins can be billionaires. You know what I mean? It's
dude.
Influence.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not in influence of like posting stuff. It's influence of like
affecting a change on somebody.
Appealing to people's human emotions, you know, and wanting all those things, you know, and being safe and learning and all that sort of stuff. And that's what I like. And that's what I want to push towards, not being like Tony Robbins, but being able to positively affect people's lives with my experiences and the way I am as a person. Like when I see people, I want people to be like, oh, that dude's a pretty stand-up guy.
Leading by example.
Like, and that's what I want people to say. Like, if I'm finna be there, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if I'm not, call the police because something is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not how I vibe, right? And people need to realize that as soon as you find like the person you're gonna be, all these other issues in your life or the people in your life, it finds its way back to where it should be. If you change, and people are so worried about that word of like, if you change into some super woke person and that was truly you, right? You started getting up early, doing this, working out, eating all this stuff like that. All your crackhead friends, they're not gonna like you no more.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be a benefit to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People don't see that being a good person, being on time, all these little things has nothing about making more money or getting a better job. It's about being a better person, and that byproduct turns into those things.
Your vibe attracts your tribe, you know?
Man, 100%. And like, obviously the word vibe and that sort of stuff super played out, but I love it, man. Like those vibrations, if you don't put them off, like, and you can see right away, I wouldn't have come on the show if it wasn't for meeting you when I was with Andy.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not big to just like do random stuff.
You're not like whoring yourself out.
Yeah, I don't do random stuff. I do stuff for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, I have to have the intent of like, man, it's for this today. It's this, and this. You know, I don't just like, oh yeah, I'm not gallivanting through life. It's just like, let's do this. You know, and it's just a different way of thinking. Like people just need to know that, man, there's lots of ways to success, and it's not a straight line.
Yeah,
and it's it's pretty empty at the top.
I feel like the one thing that I continually like tell people is that. Again, it's like one of those old cliches. It's like it's not the destination, it's the journey. Well, like I like to just think of it in terms of like it's a road, and it's like you have to be on like a road to somewhere. Somewhere doesn't exist because the further you progress in life, it's like what you want in life is a sort of mirage. Like we don't really know what we want because goals are so adaptive and it's so shifting and it's so like fleeting because it's like, oh, I want this. And it's like, the perfect example is like money. You're like, I want to make $1 million. Well, as you get closer to making that $1 million, you've got a new house, you got a new car, you got a wife, you got some kids, then those kids need money. So it's like $1 million just doesn't mean as much anymore. So now it's like, fuck, I kind of need like $2 million. So then as you get closer to $2 million, now you've just invested in a new fucking CBD business and you've got this business here and then now you've got to float this fucking gym that you're invested in. So, but now all of a sudden more money's coming in and then you're going to eclipse that $2 million. So then you're like, well, fuck, I'm kind of staring down the barrel like 20 mil right now. So it's like, the goal is a sort of a pointless thing. It's like necessary to like put one foot in front of the other. But it's like you can't fixate on any goal for too long or like be bummed out if you're not closer to it than you were yesterday or whatever. It's like as long as you're on that road and every step you take is going to take you further to the goal you think you have in mind, like that's the fucking win. And you need to enjoy every moment of like being on that road. And it's like, I just think that the path is the destination. Like that's, you just got to get on that fucking road and every day do something, one step to another step to just stay on that road because it's so fucking easy to get off that road. That road's a cunt to walk down. Like that road will cause you a lot of fucking problems, a lot of heartache, a lot of pain, but it's like you need to not get off that road because Easy Street is at a fucking T intersection at every single point. Every fucking day you can get off that road and go onto Easy Street. So it's like, you know, and you want to go on Easy Street because you're like, fuck, look how far away that goal is. Like, but you just have to realize that goal is not really what you're chasing. The real fulfillment comes from just being on that road every day. 100%.
I think a lot of people get confused with it can all change at all times. You know what I mean? Like I when I was 15, I set those goals to do all those things and I got there. You know what I mean? And that's what it hit me like a ton of bricks, man. I'm just like, what the hell am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, I've got all this shit.
When I was growing up, they didn't say write extra goals, like as like a constellation prize. It was just like, yeah, we got to chase this one thing, do this, and I got it. I grabbed it, I touched it, I lived it. So it's just like, you know what I mean? And that's what drew me back to, it's about your outcome, not your income. An outcome isn't a goal. An outcome is what I want it to be like when I'm there.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with money. It could be to do with my health. It could be my internal health. You know what I mean? Like, it could be the type of person I am. Like, the big thing with me is I want to be a good person. Obviously, everyone wants to have financial freedom. You want to have, you know, the right people around you and stuff like that. And they sound like super, like an old person's goals. You know what I mean? Like, not one had like, oh, I want to have like a nice car or anything like that. Because in the outcomes, like, it's going to change. Like, that nice car, someone in 1973 could have said, oh man, I want a Lamborghini. No, in 1990, it was like, oh, I want a 1991 Lamborghini Diablo. If you go buy a Lamborghini, in 10 years, you go buy a Lamborghini Diablo, you're going to pay more. You look like an idiot.
Yeah, you look like a fucking idiot.
Like, I'll be having a flying Tesla, bro. And this dude's got his car's touching the ground. What a loser. You know what I mean? Because it changes. Everything changes. The biggest thing with a lot of these people is like, they have to know it changes, but also lots of things are going to come your way and change and throw all over the place. That adaptability to handle it. And I talk about it all the time, and I didn't take this or steal the name from Tony Robbins, but I talk about being unshakable. And that's not deviating from your line. Yeah. That's up or down. People don't understand that. You know, where most NFL players get lost is the up. People don't get that you go from having no money. Most people, if you gave them $5 million, they would be done. Yeah. I would give them under 12 months. You know what I mean? The lows, we use that to get back to the highs. So if you can handle the highs and the lows, you can stay pretty level and keep that line pretty linear, like on the way up. But a lot of people, they get lost in the lows or they get lost in the highs, and you spend so much time up and down that you never get to the destination you really want to go to. So I think a lot of people is that adaptability and sticking to it. You know, it takes what it takes, and staying on that line, it ain't easy, because you want to get pulled, whether it's some stupid relationship or something like that, or you want to get pulled and like getting a promotion, doing more work and doing more, and get pulled back this way. How you handle it. And none of that has to do with really money or anything like that. It's just you as a person. But if you like, and I always go back to those three things, if you got all those three things, hey, staying on that line seems pretty cruisy. You know what I mean? But you got to master those three things, and that's probably a whole nother line itself. But I think a lot of it is people overcomplicate it, man. Overcomplicate success and what it is and what it takes and all sort of stuff. And everyone's, you know, like, man, if you watch one of David Goggins' thing one time, like, people just want to jump up and like, I'm about to run 20 miles. Like, son, you're going to get to the edge of the street and you're going to come right back. You know what I mean? So it's like, Andy Frisella says it a lot too. He's like, you can't go cold turkey. That shows weakness. That shows you need something so rigid to change your life, to hold your discipline to something. I said, just change. It's slow. It's a process, and you have to trust the process. If you don't trust it, it ain't going to work.
And then again, it's like there's no finish line to the process. Like, you know, and that
the finish line is whatever you prescribe or you want in your head. You know what I mean? If people are chasing nothing but money, when they get the money, they'll be like me. They'll be like, oh man, well, what do I do with it? Like, what do I buy? But the process towards that, you should have learned by then. It's other things. You know, if people want to be the strongest person in the world, when they get there, what are they going to do? You're going to keep that same intensity and training volume to stay the strongest person in the world? Or are you going to try and do something else? You know what I mean? You see it. If you look at that correlative and you look of the people that you've seen achieved huge greatness, the hardest thing on planet Earth to fight is complacency when you're at the top. Hey, no one's up there to influence you, because there's only a very, very few up there. Very like. That's why when I was at Alabama, we won 2 national championships. That was the hardest thing, impossible thing to ever have done. Back-to-back national championships. Man, I think the last team that did it was the University of Miami in like the 90s or 80s. You know what I mean? And that was before BCS, and that was before social media, huge amount of TV exposure, all that stuff like that. Because complacency is the killer. It's like getting like termites in your freaking house, man. Like, that thing will just from the inside out drag you down, you know? So it's a battle, man. Up and down every day. But if you don't wake up every day with the intent that you know that it's a battle every day, you know, Nick Saban used to say it the best, man. He said, we go out there to dominate our opponent. We don't go out there to be better or win or do fancy stuff. We go out there to dominate our opponent. A byproduct is that we win. And if we don't win, they're pretty dominated, or we didn't do our job. So I think a lot of people need to just wake up and dominate their opponent.
Yeah.
And they dominate. Usually their opponent is the person looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
But I think it all will come back to that being intentful and all that sort of stuff like that, and doing what you want, man. Like one of my favorite quotes that, who's the current Atlanta Falcons head coach now, he was the defensive coordinator when I was in Seattle. He said to me, when I asked him, I said, when I was in the room with all these other players and stuff getting ready for camp, I said, what do you think is a good trait that helps you stand out in the NFL? You know, because everyone's working hard, everyone's working smart and stuff like that. He said, find what you're good at and be the best at that in every room that you go to.
Yeah.
In the building. So that could be, you know, for me, as I'm a very aggressive football player and I'm strong and big and stuff like that, so I had to be the most aggressive, the strongest, that football player everywhere I went. Because everyone's got their skill set, everyone's got their things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If yours is film or being a podcast, don't go out there and try and be a fisherman NFL, or do this. Like, do what you do and do it to your absolute, like, utmost ability, and then push a little further.
Yeah. In
everywhere you go. You know what I mean? And he said that's the best way to stand out in anything in life. And I listened to it to this day, man. Like, I was just like, I remember the exact place he told me, and I was just like, I'm like, okay.
Is that the shit that made, like, the NFL special, is just, like, all the people that you would be around? Like, because it's just to be around such fucking high-level people all the time. Like,
I think it made it easier for me in regards to, like, me being around and, like, I'm a pretty absorbent person. Like, I like to watch and hear everything all the time. It makes it a lot harder now not being around them.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I don't think in the moment the whole time I was like, oh, let me write down all these notes that he's saying for no reason.
Yeah.
But I just have such a good memory that I'm like, oh, I remember when you said that, man. Like, it just, and especially things stick to me, man. Like, if it really means something to me, and everyone has their little things, you just like, you know what I mean? Nick Saban stuff was the most powerful. Because I know Nick walks the walk, man. Like, when I was a player, I'd get there 5 a.m, work out. I'd pull up, his car's already there. I'm like, okay. Like, when I was a coach, I'd get there even earlier. I'd get to work, he's already there. You know, when I'm leaving, his car's still there. You know what I mean? Like, he just is out working. He is leading by example. Like, the man still carries a notebook around, writes with a little tiny pencil, man, writes down everything. You know what I mean? Goes over it, has notes every time he goes into talk. Like, he does crazy stuff. And, like, a lot of his stuff, like the 24-hour rule, that pretty much got me through, like, all that cancer stuff.
So what was that?
This is another thing I talk along in my when I keynoted stuff. It's a 24-hour rule. So it's win or lose after every game, we're back to work. So no matter where we travel throughout the season, if we lose, if we're playing in Florida, California, Miami, New York, wherever, 24 hours after, we're back. When we're back to work, we get ready for next week.
Yeah.
So I treated everything in my life like that. So if it was cancer, as soon as I found out, 24-hour rule. Cry, get angry, be upset, be happy. Friggin' for alcoholic, go. If you're an alcoholic, don't drink. If you drink, do whatever. But
24 hours.
24
later,
hours. You only get 24
0.
hours. We're back to work. Start again. We got something else to deal with. And I did that everywhere I went, man. Like, I had something else. Like, all right, I'm over the cancer thing. Honestly, the last few years, if someone doesn't bring up I had cancer, like, I'm like, I would have forgot I had it. That's how, I know how powerful the mind is, but how strong I wiped it from my brain. You know what I mean? Because honestly, I didn't give it the respect. Like I said earlier, I treated it like the flu. It was nothing to me. You know what I mean? It was just like one of those things. Like, I just got to do it, man. Take the kidney. I'll be back in 7 weeks. I'll be fine. And that's exactly how it played out. You know what I mean? But I use that 24-hour rule, and it could be everything, man. It could be everything. It's relative, you know?
Because on the downside, if you say it's like a shitty thing, like, you got cancer, it's like, all right, 24 hours, fucking drown your sorrows, and then get back to zero and work. And then that will keep you on the path to, beating it. And then it's also would be a way to keep you humble in victory, because it's
100%.
Like, all right, I'm going to celebrate. We just won the national championship. Fucking 24 hours to soak this victory in. And then I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the work. And that seems like a great way to just keep yourself centered at all times through win or lose.
Well, I try and tell people all the time. When we won the national championship in New Orleans, 24 hours later, we were running sprints in Alabama. Like we're doing all our recovery
Fuck, New
protocol.
Orleans is a crazy city, eh?
Yeah, you can get lost down there, and not in the right sort of lost.
Nah.
But yeah, it's just, I think a lot of people don't realize that some of the hardest things in life are dealing with the good times and the good things. Where do you think most of these people pick up all these bad habits? It's not from being broke, because you need money to have most of these bad habits. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of it for me is like staying centered, and I guess just creating a better center more and more and more and more, and being unshakable. Like I don't like being swayed. And people think I'm like super angry all the time, or like no emotion. Well, it's not really like that. Like I can get emotional. It's just very minimal, because I don't want to waste it on lots of things. You know what I mean? If I really need to, then it's there. If I really need to, then it's there. You know what I mean? But I stay pretty the whole time. If the world's gonna end, like, okay, we'll figure a way out. But if somebody else
like that whole like stoicism sort of thing. Have you ever read too much about like stoicism?
No.
It was like one of the big kind of things to come out of like Greek philosophy.
Oh really?
Yeah, like that have
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like they were like philosophers that they would be homeless, like they had no it was like kind of like the monk sort of
I've read a little bit.
Like, yeah so it's like, but I think, I mean, that goes like, that's very extreme, but I think that stoic mentality of like not a lot of emotions, not a lot of highs, not a lot of lows, just like very it's just like measured and calculated at all times. Like there's definitely merit in that.
Yeah, I try and whenever I talk, it comes across like I'm like some sort of robot, and I don't get upset. Like it's the exact opposite. I just said I had 24 hours. You don't want to see what I do in the 24 hours.
Yeah.
The biggest thing with people is just like they get, they almost feel like they're held back by it or something like that. But really, it's more of like a long burning, I guess, feel instead of like a short term like empty the tank real quick. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really hit the same.
There's a have you read Jordan Peterson's book? 12 Rules for Life?
Yeah.
Like the chapter I'm on now is quite interesting about like what is work and like the definition of what work is. And I'd never really thought about it in this context and the way that he laid it out, but like work is basically delaying gratification. So it's like sacrificing something in the present for a better future.
Yeah.
And like, fuck man, that was like it's such a productive way to look at something, because it makes work feel okay. Because it's like, I think sometimes you can just get like lost in the grind of it all and just be like, what the fuck, I'm just grinding and grinding and grinding. But it's almost like its own form of currency. Like you get currency in the form of money from work, but you're also getting currency in itself of like this better future.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And that was a cool way to think of it. And just reading about that and like applying that own concept to my mind was like a really cool way to like get over some of the shit that I don't want to do.
Yeah, well, I think that's the same with me with like when we'd run sprints or do stuff like that. It's the same thing. Like the work was, you're sacrificing what you got right now for something that's going to be for the greater good of something else.
Yeah.
But people also don't realize that you get so much more from work than money. You know what I mean? The discipline.
Yeah.
You know, all those other things that come along with, you know, the sacrifice of what you're doing. You know, it's not just a all chase money sort of vibe. It's more like you can better yourself through work and doing that sort of stuff like that, as long as you know, are doing stuff, fingers crossed, what you want to do. But it seems like the biggest thing with me, when I even talk to people about whether it's business or like training, stuff like that, is just their perspective. Every time I go back to it, I talk to a lot of coaches, a lot of kids, and it's just like, perspective is the biggest thing, man.
Yeah, dude.
And it's the hardest to change if you're not like vulnerable or you're not in touch with yourself, whether it's like emotionally or physically or whatever. It's very hard to shake. You know what I mean? It's like it's like having a flu for a long period of time. It just, it wears you down. You know what I mean? And it makes you like, I wouldn't say bitter, but it doesn't put the best spin on what your personality is. But I think the perspective, for me, is the biggest thing that just shapes so much, whether it's work, play, being happy or whatever. My dad says one of the best quotes, man, like it hits home all the time. He said the best way to be happy is have a good memory. And I vibe with that so hard. Because when I do have those down days, like, man, I go through like, and I keep all my phones, man. I go through my old phones, like when I was in college or when I was in the league. And like, I go through like, because I take so many pictures, I would scroll through and be like, remember the times of the people and stuff like that. Like I'm big on people and connecting with people, and like I would go through and be like, yo, that is wild. Like I go through times in my life where I'm like, man, I ain't done shit in my life. Like I've done nothing. Like what the hell am I doing? And then I can go see like all the pictures I was like with Obama. Like I used to fly through the mountains in a helicopter and photograph like the sun like rising over the mountains, man. Like when I was real sick, I used to pay the pilot to sit up there and I would just watch the sunrise up there. You know what I mean? Like I've had, you know, seeing my son do, you know, outrageous things, you know, being able to play football literally all over the United States, be able to come where I come from to do some of the things that I was, you know, I've been like Drake's played directly in front of me at the Superbowl party. Like I've met every famous person I could ever think of, you know, and that doesn't really add worth to what I'm doing now, but I always look back and I'm like, oh man, I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I got such a good memory to remember the journey I was able to take, the good and bad. You know what I mean? Because I learn from the bad and I try and like appreciate the good. Especially the more I get older, the more I talk to it and do podcasts, and I'm like, wow,
yeah, like it really does bring.
Like I've had
back.
dinner with Pharrell when he played in Brisbane. You know what I mean? Crazy. I'm just like, but I would never remember that because I'm like, I'm going through my phone. I'm like, oh, well, this means Pharrell. Like, yo, that's wild. You know what I mean? I'm just like, at the time I never put a lot into it. I'm just like, oh, it's whatever. And then now I'm just like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, like I've been able to have some monumental times in my life. And then the backside of that, I'm like, all right, what's next? What are we going to do? Like, what are we going to impact people with now? Like, what can I push towards now? So that's the battle. And it's a daily battle.
And so what is your plans for the future?
Honestly, it's always up in the air with me. I'm living pretty open to what I do. I stick pretty hard in like strength and conditioning and sports performance because I love that with a deep passion, training, strength training, and a lot of the disciplines that come from teaching. Yeah. So I love that. I love speaking. So I do a lot more speaking now, like corporate wise. And I push that as much as I possibly can because I learn so much from re-speaking and rehearing a story. Yeah. And I love seeing it correlate to people in business and in general life. But then from there, I'm looking to start my own podcast soon. Yeah, we're gonna get you sorted out with that. In the process. It's a lot more than just getting some mics and having a chat. Yeah. So, but stuff like that. I think the biggest thing with me is effectiveness. Like, I just want to be able to affect people. Like, I have a platform currently that's, you know, reasonable. I got pretty good awareness. I know that's not going to be there forever. I'm not trying to keep Instagram forever. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to do a little quick next 12 to 24 months, a quick hit and run of like dump all my information and knowledge and stuff as far as I possibly can. And then the rest and more my son will get. And then I'll move on to doing some other stuff, hopefully. I'm looking to try and write a book and do a bit more. And I feel like I'm slowly on the decline of, you know, how hard I want to push in certain areas. Yeah. But I'm moving away from stuff I need to do into stuff that I almost want and have to do in regards to, like, I have to use what I've done for a positive thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? I want to do it because of the stuff I've done. So and like I tell people all the time, like, I'm by far not the perfect person. I still struggle with lots of different things, whether it's my own health, my own mental health, and lots of other things like that. So it's a daily grind, man. It's a daily grind, and I'm just lucky enough to be around good people, listen to exponential amounts of podcasts a day, listen from, you know, great people in the US, great mentors, and keep living to fight the next day as it comes. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing. I don't ever wake up expecting not to go hand to hand with something. Yeah. I just wake up ready to go. You know what I mean? My back's against the wall nonstop. That's just how I live.
It's a good way to live, though. Like, it's a good mentality to have.
You come out swinging. I'm bound to connect with somebody. You know what I mean? And something's going to go and someone's going to do it. And I think the older I get, the more I see how powerful that's been in my life and how it will continue to be. Yeah. But at the moment it's just talking and affecting and trying to do what I can. It's hopefully people get a lot from the story. Yeah. And honestly, sure. I don't think we have enough time to go into every aspect of the story because we just get, I mean, you know how it is. Every time we've caught up, it just you get dragged. You know, I think it's almost like Instagram, you know, you just like, oh, but this and this and this.
But it's like, at least it's like a real human fucking interaction.
Yeah. Like, the phones are distant in the room, you know, so it's all coming from the heart, you know, and I try and keep everything super real the whole time. Like, I don't need to lie about nothing. I got no fear of what people think they might know or the perspective they want to create on themselves of me or my story. So I just hope people can learn from it and take at least one thing from it, whether it's the 24-hour rule or the three things I said, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people vibe to that whenever I talk. So I always hope that one of those things stick on the wall when I get it out there.
Nah, for sure, dude. Well, hey, we'll wrap this up. Do you want to go get some food? You hungry?
I'm pretty hungry.
Yeah, I'm keen.
After speaking all that dehydration the whole time,
I know. I'm
dying.
I'll get you on again when we get the new studio.
Yeah, for sure.
There's fuck, bro. There's so much even just like football talk that we didn't even get into, but it's cool. Like I hope that to like introduce people to you and your story and like kind of lay it out. Like normally I don't try and go through like the whole like chronology of like people's lives or whatever, but I'm like, fuck, it's such an interesting story. And like literally there's the one dude in Australia that's ever done what you've done. So
I'll have to bring the rings next time I do it. I'll bring all my rings and stuff so we can get it on camera. And
fuck yeah.
I'll just sit here the whole time with them.
But no, I really appreciate you coming down, dude.
For sure,
fucking
brother.
made it happen. So we'll put it out and I'll get you back on again soon, and then we'll get you sorted with your own podcast as well.
Keep your ears out. We'll be coming for you.
Ciao. All right, thanks, bro.